Sending me private messages. I'll talk about it in a second here.
Oh, what of Elden Ring progress?
I was. What's up, everybody? Yeah, we were just chatting a little real quick before we went live. I was saying Retrodust has messaged me. He started Elden Ring, and I was just all I could think about was, dude, it's got like 20 games he's playing. Like he ain't gonna have time for this. But I forgot about Retrodust's obsession with exploration and like Skyrim and stuff. And so he's finding all kinds of cool stuff and messaging me about it. But he got to the academy less than 10 hours in. He didn't even go to Stormville Castle. Somehow found his way to the lakes,
Really?
got to the academy and tried to get in, but it had the gate, where you need the key. I'm
Yeah.
like, how the hell are you there? And you haven't even fought a boss yet. Like, he's like, this is
So he
just the
didn't.
way I
He so
play.
he didn't. So he didn't fight Margit or any of
He
that
didn't
game.
enter the castle. He didn't. He found to the right of it, or I guess it would be the east of it. There's like a path, and then if you look down, there's a place to drop down with your horse with those like looks like tombstones coming out of the cliffs.
Yeah, they're like platforms. Well,
And
they
he
look like
found his way
platforms.
down, and I'm just like, dude, there's no way you fought an enemy because every enemy down there is gonna one hit kill him. So he said he ran by
Absolutely.
most of them. But I said, yeah, I mean, you can do whatever you want, but you're not gonna make any progress that way because you're just gonna get murked and you're gonna lose your runes because you're gonna be out in the middle of nowhere with tough enemies. But anyway, I did think about him and even though I joked with you on one of your live streams, I said you need to take a little inspiration from Retro Death when you're having trouble finding just like a door in a room, and and he's just like, I'm like, damn, like this. I never thought of this game and Retro Death going together, and it just makes sense now. So,
I did some fuckery on Saturday. There's a I don't know if you know it. It's an area that's full of dragons. They're like just
yeah,
there's a bunch, and then
and
there's like
Khaled,
this one, and then
Caleb,
there's this
Khaled.
yeah, and then there's like this one big ass white dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't think I'm supposed to be able to kill this thing because I swung at it like once or twice. I'm seeing like 300 damage, and I'm like, that didn't do like nothing. So I'm like, well, fuck it. I probably need to run. And so I ran, but I ran behind it,
Yeah,
and I
there's a
realized,
blind spot where it can't hit
yeah. And so I spent 20 minutes just hacking away at it, just fuck. And I'm like, there's no way this like it'd be kind of crazy if the game just lets me kill him this way. Killed him, got 80,000 runes off it, and I was like,
and the other ones disappear because they were like
yeah, yeah.
phantoms.
And I'm just like, oh, well then,
And for
I'll
those that
take
don't know,
that.
I mean, this thing is huge. Like, think of like Breath of the Wild dragons size compared to Link. It's just a massive dragon
I
that's like grounded.
I think the reason why I was surprised because if it was like any other game, I would assume it like halfway through. All right, fuck this, and it would get up and start attacking me. Because this model kind of moves, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna get up like halfway. No, and I'm like, are the other dragons not gonna come back here? No. Oh, all right.
Well, I was lucky enough to figure that or like go there after I had a talisman that I get eat like after 3 hits, my hits success or consecutive hits would stack damage.
No, I have that. I have that on
Oh,
actually.
okay,
I
because
have
I would
that.
do
I have
like
that exact
I was doing
thing.
like 300, then all of a sudden I do like 3,000, like one hit, and
Yeah,
then it kind of goes and then it resets. But it
yeah,
still
it
took a
does.
while.
Oh no, it drags, but I was just more surprised that the game was gonna let you do it because everything else in this game will punish you for just doing basic mistakes. Oh, let's put this big ass dragon in. If you just walk behind it in this specific little area and smack its tail for like 20 minutes, yeah, it's just a kill. It's an easy kill. All right.
I felt kind of like there had been some other intention for that other than that finding that spot to cheese it.
Well,
But
the fact that he doesn't move is what confuses me because I'm like, if even if I was fighting this legitly, like,
well, it's stupid
am I?
because the other ones just keep appearing. They don't. You kill them and they keep coming. So it's
So it makes me
obviously.
wonder if maybe that was the actual design to get behind it and
But
do some
that
cheap shit.
damn, I don't. It's not a castle, but that house or whatever behind it,
Yeah.
that I died a bunch of times in that area. It's not even that big. They're all those bat like I think bat kind of enemies, and then I for
Yeah.
some reason I just kept dying there. Like I don't know, but Visor Grunt said, "Congrats to the Juices Loose podcast, not only outlasting other Nintendo themed podcasts that rose during Wii U, but outlasting the Wii U's eShop itself."
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, that's so sad.
It's like an accomplishment, but it bummed me out. I don't know if I want.
Yeah.
Vaz, could you take it back? No, like please.
I mean, I knew it was gonna happen when I was buying all the digital games, but I was looking at that 10% back on each purchase, and I was just like, "Oh, this is gonna be amazing." And then now here I am with, missing physical games for some of the best games on the system.
That's what I'm doing right now. I'm buying the digital games on the eShop.
Oh my god!
I got funds. I got to use these bitches. So
I pretty much bought all the eShop games I wanted. Like,
yeah,
me too. Now I got to get shit that I don't.
I got all the Shantae games though, and that's like at least I still have them.
They're on
but
sale right now. Let me go get some Shantae games.
It's like I got all the Shantae games on the Wii U and nowhere else. I don't have a single Shantae game on any other system.
Should I download?
I think the one thing I was surprised by is I found out the Fates special edition, the Fire Emblem Fates
Like
special edition.
said,
Yeah, and I was like
1,200. Was it?
and and I'm just like, ooh, that's so tempting.
Hey,
you know what pisses me off is that I don't know if you remember because I think me and you talked about it, Terrell. I had it on what do you call it? Pre-order.
Pre-order.
And then they dropped. It was GameStop, and they fucking dropped my pre-order.
Oh no, I do remember that. You know why? Because
yeah,
I remember that because I had an issue. That's why I have that game twice. I bought it the day of launch because they delayed my order, and I was like, nah, fuck this. I'm playing the game at launch. We're not having this shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, something else happened. Didn't they credit you for the special edition and it showed up?
Sons of bitches.
Oh no! No, that wasn't that game. That was
I thought it was Fates.
When Fates, it was Tokyo Mirage Sessions. That's what it was.
Either way.
And then I had 2 copies of it. I had the special edition Tokyo Mirage Sessions, and I was like,
so GameStop cost me potentially thousands of dollars. So you guys can crash and burn for all I care, you sons of bitches.
That's like my dad letting my nephews play with my GI Joes cost me about $400 or $500 for my collection I could have got.
Oh no.
It is what it is, but it's my fault for leaving them there.
That's what you say when you bummed out about it, but you
my fault. I left them there. I should have. When I bought my house and moved, I should have took everything. I just figured they'd be safe there. I didn't.
Hindsight's a motherfucker, isn't it? Good God Almighty!
It really is.
Tokyo Pop ID. Shut the hell up, Retro. Let your ass down. Just we don't take your ass nowhere, Retro. Oh Jesus Christ!
Oh yeah, speaking of Robert isn't here. Did you happen to catch the debate, Terrell, of the you haven't played Metroid Prime, but the Space Pirate debate that went on for 30 minutes after the podcast and then another hour in the chat the next day because Robert didn't get it either?
I was so confused because I was like, I only saw a portion of it I didn't catch the after stream debate, but like I saw part of it in the stream, and then I saw part of it in the chat, and I was just kind of like, you know what?
What are we doing here?
I think I'm gonna just leave.
I had to point out that Retro got my point because he made an example of my point of the squids from Doctor Who just look like these little innocent creatures who couldn't do anything, but they were capable of destroying worlds, and he loved that it was like they didn't match their capabilities or what the story said they could do. Their visual didn't match. I've said that's what I was saying is the visual didn't match what I
exposed.
It's like so don't act like you don't know what I mean. Don't bring up Predator because predators obviously are intelligent creatures. They.
But Retro Depth, the winning of the argument is the most important thing.
Absolutely.
So let's pretend we don't understand.
That's why I was like, I'm gonna let them have it. I don't even care enough.
After the podcast, I was like, all right, podcast over, Retro, we can quit playing. And then nope, we had another 30 minutes.
So it lasted like another hour or so after?
Another 30 after the podcast because I was just like, seriously, I thought we were just playing a bit there with
Juice didn't realize the realness of the situation.
Oh, and
you thought this was a game?
And I get it. I get that sometimes they do that on purpose where they'll have something look unassuming and then visually unassuming and then in the story or the whatever twist of the movie or something, they'll have this thing that looks unassuming to be this like huge threat or something. You know, I get it, but I don't think that's that was the intention with the space pirates. I just feel like with it within the GameCube limitation, I wouldn't say limitations, but with the hardware they had, that was the design, trying to stay somewhat true to the original Praying Mantis design, and you know what it is what it is. Obviously, you know, other people disagreed, but I just said,
I'm
hey.
gonna just.
I think
what
what and Clockpit
y'all
said
got
in a
it.
good point. Like they just have white eyes. They don't have any pupils, so it's they kind of don't have any personality, which
No
probably
soul.
doesn't help. Like they don't have any funny, like in Halo. You know, the aliens had funny quips and
Yeah.
funny
Have the
reactions
conversations.
when you would like.
Yeah.
Was it Halo where if you killed a couple enemies and there was only one left, it would like run away?
It runs, yeah. The little
Yeah,
what they call
That's
it'd
little
be like
nice
birds.
attention to
you know
detail.
stuff like that. That shows intelligence and stuff in the design. So and not just the design, but in their behavior. So
Right.
anyway, I was hoping Robert would come, but again,
No,
Robert's
don't care that
I think Robert's off the podcast for a while. So I don't know.
Why?
He didn't say, but I think he's
What?
time is precious to him these days.
Oh my God. Never mind.
Hey.
I got
Hey.
it. I see what we're doing here. I see what
But
we're doing here. GG's. GG's, everybody.
Where's the sale shit? I can't
I
find
like
the sale.
chocolate. That's all I'm gonna say.
I like chocolate.
I
so
like chocolate.
so I didn't start Resident Evil 4 remake. I picked it up, I installed it, and I didn't start it yet. So although I could give my impressions, but I can't. I'm bummed they didn't have a. This is the first RE game since shit. I don't even know before 7 that doesn't have a free steelbook with the pre-order.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. I missed
That's a
3s
shame.
because I didn't get 3 at launch. I waited till the price dropped, and I didn't get 3s, but it had one, and I have
You might have been
2,
a
and I
better
have
man for
Village,
it.
and then I didn't get 7 right away either because I don't think I had the PS4 yet when it came out.
Let me ask you something though, because I know you haven't played 4, but of the modern ones you have played, what has been your favorite like modern Resident Evil game so far? Like of the last what 4?
I'd
Was it 3 or
say
4?
RE2 remake, but that one's different because I didn't play it much the originally, so it all was felt new to me. Of the 2 new games of 7 and Village, I think Village is really solid. Starts off almost as good as like RE4 back in the day, but then it doesn't hold that for me once you get out of the castle and stuff. Which did you play Village?
I have not. I want to emphasize. I have Village, but y'all were like, you need to play 7 before you play Village.
Oh,
I
you didn't
can't-
play 7?
I-
Yeah.
Yeah, you were like, oh, play 7. I'm like, because I was gonna play Village like last year, and you were like, nah, man, you need to play 7 first. I'm like, fuck.
Play the VR version.
70.
I don't want to play. Hey, listen, I told you I have a very.
I have, baby. PSVR, baby.
Oh my god.
I'm a little
Why
scared.
can't T play the VR version? Let me play a third person version. I can't. Now they added a third person mode in fucking Village. And
But
you were
I think
like,
it's
nah,
only
man.
part of the if you buy the DLC. I don't think they just added it for free. So
Oh, is it? Okay.
I didn't get the DLC.
Still, I have the ability to play it in that way.
I
That's
think
the point.
honestly, if I don't know if you were gifted Village or if you bought it.
No, I was gifted Village.
Yeah, you might if the third person mode is only in the DLC, I would probably say buy the DLC, and then that way it feels more like the other Resident Evil games, more consistent with the perspective.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had intentions of finishing Metroid and then starting RE4, and then I started a project a couple weeks ago, and it took all my time. And I went to bed at 9 p.m. Saturday. I woke up early, got everything prepped during the day, a bunch of finishing touches, and then my new projector showed up at like 2 or 3.
Oh, you already got it.
Yeah, and I had to. It's 50 pounds, so I had to have a buddy from work stop over. We had to lift it up like at just about 6 foot the bottom of the
50
top of the sofa.
pounds.
We had to both of us lift it up and then slide it into the opening, and then
Damn.
and then
lift it up and slide it into the
Yeah,
opening.
slide it in right to the top. That's an old Kiss song. Um, but
Jesus
yeah,
Christ.
and then of course I wanted to test out some things, and got about 8:30. I was like, man, I should watch a movie. And then I stood up and I'm like, fuck, I think I could go to bed. I'm gonna try to stay up. I'm gonna try to stay up for maybe I'll wake up. And I'm trying to play with the cat, and should I start Resident Evil? I was like, I'm just gonna lay down. And then I laid down. I was out like instantly. So missed your stream, missed
No,
and then I woke up next morning and I was like, shit. Well, there went Saturday night, but
Hey, look.
sometimes you just need to go. Sometimes you just need sleep. It don't matter.
Absolutely. To be fair, I would think like the first half of that stream was pretty bad. Like I was just getting my ass whooped repeatedly because people were like, "Hey, man," because the direction I went in, people were like, "Well, you probably should go to Caleb's like where you're supposed to go next." And I was like, "Oh fuck!" And I ran into I forget what it's called. It's the general that's in Caleb. He's like in the swamp area, and he summons all those minions. I tried to fight him. I'm like, yeah, this ain't gonna
You can
work.
just fight him on horse. Honestly, that's how I did it. A couple times I fought him.
See, I tried to fight him hand to hand. I was trying to respect that man's culture. Then I realized, oh wait, he summoned a whole fucking army in the background. Was like,
I don't care if it took me 20 minutes. I'm coming by, getting a few hits in, running away with the horse.
That's a viable strategy. I wanted to like.
Did you talk to somebody in that area yet?
Somebody.
There's a dude in a little structure. Well, that guy dropped something that you can use in a quest. That's right. There's a guy in a.
Oh really?
Yeah. There's a little village or a little town, and right before.
Well, it's funny because where I'm at now is a little village. I don't think it's in Calit though. It's like this village. It's kind of like on the side of a cliff. I can't even really describe it. And it's like a bunch of people like, oh, the village is done for. The village is doomed. But take
that's
this ring. It gives you like half a. Yeah, I like ended up there, and I was like,
that's way far away. That's in the lakes area.
Yeah, I started like going back to I started doubling back to explore areas I knew I hadn't fully explored. Try to go in some dungeons and do some mini bosses, and I was like, shit, this is just. And then I ended up, and then recently, I think I ended it by grinding. I've just been grinding levels a little bit. I wanted to like get my weight up because people were like, man, you've been using like this starting sword for like the last.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
I was like, I need to I need to go ahead and build up my dexterity so I can lift this big ass sword I want to use. Because I got this cool ass great sword, but I couldn't use it because my gains weren't up there, man. I had to go out here and work on my gains.
See I learned well into the game that swords that have cause like poison or blood loss effects, those are the ones you want to like most. It's usually bosses. You know those purple circles in the ground you've encountered and you go fight a boss.
Yeah.
You have one, the Bloodhound Fang.
Yeah.
If you level those up, especially the ones there's like a katana that does blood loss, like those are the best ones. Anyone that drops from like a red spirit enemy that supposedly invades, that's like the AI ones.
I think I fought the one.
Good weapons with that. Like I have a magic sword that causes sleep, so I can hit those like giant troll dudes like 3 times, and then they just like fall on their face.
I feel like the animation would be great. Pop, pop, pop.
And it's like, but when you don't level them up, they don't really do much. So, and like you look at the weapon scaling and stuff, and you scale that attribute, and then you get these extra effects, bonus like effects, and those are the weapons that do the best. Like I use I had the one looks like the Game of Thrones, the throne with the swords.
Yeah.
You know, I think I had to use that on one boss, like a boss that was made out of like
a key
ore. It's like a mineral, like it needed blunt hits.
Yeah.
And I think I used that on that, but
I think I think once I get my strength up to like 40 something, I think early 40s, I'm gonna try to go back and reinvest in some magic and experiment a little bit, because not that I think I'll mainly be a physical build, but I like the idea of having some magic in the back pocket where I get to like the end of a boss. I'm like pull out the staff and hit you with a couple fireballs, and
Yeah,
then
Retro sounds like he's doing a magic build, but I also heard that Arcane's like really good, and some apparently with the DLC coming out, some I saw a video that said like best Arcane weapons before the DLC, and it doesn't really tell you what Arcane does. It's just, but apparently it stacks. It helps certain
are you
weapons.
getting the DLC?
No, oh, I'm getting it. I just don't know when it's. They haven't announced.
The release date?
But yeah, it's cool that. I mean, it's one of those games where like there's so much to do. I mean, you could literally spend 20 hours and not do a single boss. Like you, I mean, the caves have bosses, but they're all kind of
Like mini
they
bosses.
kind of repeat the same ones over and over. And
Them fucking bears annoy the
oh, the
shit out of me.
fucking
I've run into like 4 or
I
5
hate those
bears.
damn things.
Some of them are normal. One of them is considered a boss. The other one's like not a boss, but still hits like it does. And I'm like, some of these fuckers are just a pain in the ass. But I think I'm starting to get into the groove of like how to deal with shit for the most part. But it does feel weird. It feels like I haven't fought like a main boss in a minute, and it hasn't been that long. It just feels like it. Because last stream was very much like fucking
Well,
around
actually,
and
the only
exploring.
Kayla doesn't have. Well, it has one, but it's. I think pretty sure it's completely optional. And
Really?
it's a weird one. It's a huge battlefield. You know, it's just it's unlike anything else. But the bears, there is a one that's a boss in one of the caves, and I learned that that's the enemy that taught me to learn towards enemies instead of quit trying to roll away. There's attacks where he like does this like, and you can just like roll to him, and then he can't. Then it doesn't hit you. And I'm trying to roll away, constantly getting hit, and I'm like, oh wait, maybe if I don't know if it's an accident or I just figured it out. I just rolled towards him, and I was like, oh, now I'm in for easy hits because I'm right there. I don't have to like. Soon as I roll and he misses, then he opens up to multiple hits. So it was, almost every different type of enemy is gonna hopefully teach you
I
something.
went for some reason. I went back and started watching video clips of people fighting Margaret for the first time, and then even looking online, I'm like, oh, this boss. Like, I think most people have said that Margaret is like the hardest From Software first boss that you will ever fight in the history of the franchise, like of the series of games they've done. And I sat there and I realized, and someone actually did an analysis video of this how his movement is. I'm like, yeah, this motherfucker has no business being the way he is this early in the
No,
game.
but once you
Especially
know
when
its patterns, it's really like when I was watching you. I was like, oh, watch out for the tail whip. Oh, he's gonna do 2 hits. Like I just had learned that from fighting him.
well, the other thing is that he has other like behaviors, but because I fought him very similarly, I never saw certain things he does. Like if you're fucking like I was trying to be on his ass towards the latter half because I realized backing up on him is like the worst thing you can ever do. Don't ever like try to fucking heal or like get away from him because he ain't about that life at all. He's like, yo, I don't know where you think this is. I'm about to show you where I'm from. And I'm like, all right.
I used to be
So
afraid of his jump attacks, and then towards the end, I was looking forward to them. They were the easiest to dodge. I'm like, all right,
oh
jump.
yeah, the jump attacks were the ones I was pretty confident in. I was just trying to get consistent with the poise hits, where I was like, it's when he does that fucking jump back. If I immediately go up and stab him, it seems to trigger his like tumble animation,
Mm-hmm.
and then I can get him. But like before, like that shit, I'm very much like it's. I'm so like in the Bloodborne mindset. I love the visceral attack. So even if I ain't got to do it, the fact that I can do it is important to me. That I can run up on an enemy, hit you one good time, because the greatsword actually lets you get it off way more frequently. Just run up, bah, you go, oh, and then
You got to be
just
ready
run
though
up.
to get the finisher. Because I noticed early
Yeah,
on you were knocking enemies and staggering them, but you weren't getting around to their head and doing the
I
finishing
didn't
hit.
realize I didn't realize that like for the bigger enemies, there's a glowing spot on the
Mm-hmm.
forehead that you have to run around. Because the problem is if you knock them down from the back, I'm not gonna
It's hard to
fucking
get.
see it.
Yeah, it's hard to get to them. Then you got to use light attack to do the finisher or
Yeah.
the
So when I figured it out,
critical.
I was like, oh, this shit is great.
You if
Stab the
you know
fucking
those
bear in the
squid
head.
like brain like things, they're like
Yeah, what yeah.
they have. Once you figure it out, they're really easy. But they have. I think you got to cut off their 2 front tentacles and then hit them, and then it's staggered. And because I tried
You know,
fighting one before, and it's like jumping in the air. I was like, my God, it just
one of
destroyed me.
the one of the worst enemies I've run across recently, and I've seen them around, but like there's an area where they're just in like they're all enclosed in a space. Those fucking bats. Those bats like bunched up together, and you walk into that bitch, and if your intention, they give a lot of experience. That's how I found this out. But that fucking screech attack,
Mm-hmm.
that can one shot you because it's like continuous damage. So if you're in his face when he goes, it's like a and you just die. Like I'm just like, oh my
Welcome
god,
to the
why?
Elden Ring podcast, T.
Sorry, I just listen. I geeked out for a little bit. Nah, it's fine. It's fine. We can move into other subjects.
Where
But
do you
yeah, them
put?
fuck them bats, man.
Where do you think you would? At this point, where do you think you would have had the game if you played it last year? Would it have been in your top 5 at this point?
Ooh shit, that's hard because last year was a good year for me. That's actually hard. Shit. Right as of right now, if I had played up to this point last year, oh shit, yeah, that's hard. I don't. It probably would have been at least 5 at least, and debatably it could have been higher. But you're right. Last year was a good year, man.
Mm-hmm.
I had fucking Bayo 3. I
Two
had Sonic.
Pokemons.
I had Pokemon. I had 2 Pokemon games. A lot. All right. That's all. Don't ask me these fucking hard questions. Monday night. I'm out. I'm at home.
You
Fuck.
you've been playing Fire Emblem a little bit, right?
Yeah, actually, I'm playing it again tomorrow. I've been getting good progress in that. I think that fucked me up. I don't know what it was. I didn't hit the groove with it until I've been doing like charity streams through March for like the Children's Health Foundation and stuff. And I was like, well, the theme we were going with were Nintendo games. Oh well, fuck it. I haven't really finished Fire Emblem. And these last couple weeks I've been playing Fire Emblem. I'm like, all right, this is about this. It's reminding me of Awakening a lot, and I fuck with Awakening a lot. It's a very fun, chill Fire Emblem versus like Three Houses that wanted you to talk about the methodologies of war and fucking God and shit. And I'm like, and I don't act like I don't like Three Houses, but I definitely enjoy the funness of Engage. Engage very much is like I'm gonna be chill with it. Like of course we're still fighting gods and we're still trying to save a kingdom, but like anime shit. So
Definitely
Enough with
not
all that story shit.
not a game that anybody I'm really following has talked about. So I haven't heard like anybody's take on that game.
I hate people. talk
it's
about
fun. My favorite shit that they've added is because they brought we have our triangle or weapon triangle, but the coolest addition they've added is that like the every modern Fire Emblem game has like this area where you can do various activities, so, like cooking, you hang out with your friends, you fucking fish, just a bunch of shit. But my favorite thing is one that the area they giving you for that in this game is fucking huge. And it's constantly opening up new stuff. You can go do fucking weight training to give yourself a buff before the next fight. You can play a fucking dragon shooting mini game just because. And then you got like arenas and stuff where you can like level up your characters and stuff. But one of my favorite additions is that in the weapon triangle, it was always, lances beat swords, swords beat axes, and axes beat lances. But they didn't really do a lot with like the mages and the healers. Well, they made a lot of the healers martial artists now. Fucking love this shit. They also gave me the break system. Fucking love this shit. If you hit an enemy with their like adjacent weakness, you will break their weapon to where they can attack you the next turn. Now, granted, they can do the same thing to you, so you have to keep that shit in mind. The funniest shit to me is that you got all these healer characters who are like these like little kids who are like, I attest violence. And then you see this motherfucker come over here, hit these, and their weapons are called like iron body arts. Like they're fucking like martial arts. You see this little kid run up on this fucking mage and smack the shit out of him, do like a quick jab. And the book, their fucking tome just goes flying in the air. And it's like, oh fuck, what do I do? And I love that shit because they can't hit you back the next turn, but you have to plan around that shit. I've gotten to the point in the story where I've lost a lot of my summons. Also, I have Lynn and Celica as some of my old school Fire Emblem summons, and the waifu harem is building slowly. I'm very happy. I'm actually this is the most conflicted I've been waifu wise. I'm like, damn, I don't have a favorite yet, but they're all like, I want one. But it's fun. It's very fun and very chill. I'm enjoying it a lot. And then I realized next month is fucking Advance Wars, and I'm like, son of a bitch. I don't. The money is getting stupid because it's Resident Evil, then fucking Advance Wars, and then fucking Zelda, all back to back. And I haven't even picked up Octopath Traveler 2 yet. It just there's a lot.
It
It's a
was
lot.
weird. I was looking at Best Buy the other day, and it was weird just seeing that the Switch version and the PS5 version sitting next to each other. It just feels like a Switch game, you know.
Well, it very much still is. And I know a lot of people are right now excited for their Final Fantasy 16 that comes out in June. I think it's June or July. I think it's June.
What feels like a Switch game?
Octopath Traveler 2. It's just weird seeing it on other platforms at launch.
Don't worry, it's not on Microsoft. Sony made sure of that.
I thought it was
You
on
think so?
Xbox.
Wait. No, it's
How would
not
Sony
Xbox.
make
No.
sure of that?
They paid
Wait.
for it not to be on there. I know you're not in the know of these things.
Wait,
but
really?
this is what's happening. Yeah, it's pretty well known.
I
A lot of
didn't.
stuff coming out because of the Activision Blizzard thing.
I didn't think. Huh. Well, because it's weird because the first game was exclusive to Switch for like a year, and then
Right.
it became
It hit Game
multi-platform.
Pass.
Everything hit everything.
Sony has
And
they have taxes for when you put your games on Game Pass, and they have obviously.
But they
do
didn't tax them for putting it on Nintendo. Is that just because Nintendo was always the default platform, or
see, Microsoft or excuse me, Xbox and PlayStation are high-end machines, gaming machines. No, this is the this is the reasoning that the regulators. Sony said that because Microsoft said, well, even though they're going to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation and everything else, they said that because Sony's been saying we need Call of Duty, we can't survive without it. Well, and then Microsoft was like, well, Nintendo hasn't had Call of Duty on the Switch, and the Switch is one of the best-selling consoles ever. And it was like, well, they're not part of the high-end gaming market.
I do remember that. I did hear that.
Right. So they started using that, and then the regulators started using that rationale, and so that's how they decided. But now that's being backfired on them. They're saying, okay, well, in Japan, Sony owns 95% of the high-end gaming market, and they're like, so a senator, I forget what senator she is. She's like, well, she brought that up in a hearing. She's like, well, why do you guys are allowed to monopolize the Japanese market against American companies, and meanwhile, Sony is the market leader over here. We don't do that here. And they're like, oh, we understand that, and we're looking into it. So all their bullshit is starting to backfire on them.
They're looking into it.
Well,
The fuck?
Yeah, we know that's a thing, and we're gonna definitely look into that. So
I wonder how much
I just thought that was funny.
I wonder back in the day, because the even the 360, I mean, it did all right, but was that
It got destroyed, and there are things going on to make sure Xbox doesn't do well in Japan, and that's what they're starting to look at now. Because Sony's running around doing all this crying, and what they did was put a spotlight on themselves. They should have just shut the fuck up and let the deal go through. But now they put a spotlight on themselves. Like, oh, yeah, what did because they're getting all their documentation and how they're doing all these deals. Like, oh, wait a minute, you guys you're putting a tax on people for putting their games on Game Pass specifically, but Xbox, you're paying to not have especially Japanese style games on the Xbox. This is what's going on. This is what's happened because they've been talking all this shit. So they have to show all these documents, and then oh, wait a minute. So now they're being scrutinized for their practices.
And what a dumb.
It was stupid.
How stupid is that? Because it's not like the Japanese games sell well on Xbox anyway. It's stupid.
Yeah, it really wouldn't have hurt them to have it on the system.
Because the games that do have
It's like it sounds like it sounds like they were just being petty about it. because there was no.
But there
real
is a
advantage.
maybe there is a chance that maybe they could have done if they've been able to cultivate them over all these years. Maybe they would have done a lot better than they're doing now. But we
So
never
do
know.
you think Sony's been blackballing them from
They've been
like
doing it for a decade, over a
for the
decade.
jump?
But
Okay, so you do okay. All
yeah,
right, that's what I was asking. Okay, I mean, I don't see the advantage of doing that because
well, they do.
well,
That's what
you know the other reason why I don't see the advantage because like Sony doesn't give a fuck about like Japanese games in the traditional sense anyway. Like
no,
they've shifted their focus completely to Western
yeah,
like development, like Western gameplay design. Which fine if that's what you want to do. I don't necessarily agree with you, but fine if that's your prerogative.
yeah.
So you ain't got no problem with Nintendo taking all that Japanese money in the back, but you were like, well, Xbox, you can't do it. The funny thing is that I feel like Nintendo has won in both of these situations. The only thing that hurts them is this weird narrative that like they ain't on the same level as them. And
Yeah, that's what caused this whole thing. It was like, well, Nintendo's not in the high-end gaming market. They're in a different market. And so that's what has caused all this scrutiny. It's like, okay, well, how come you guys own this such and such percentage of the high-end gaming market? And globally, it's 70% that Sony has when you exclude Nintendo. So that shit has backfired on them. They say, well, Call of Duty, we need it. But without it, we can't survive. Okay, well, Nintendo survived. Well, Nintendo doesn't count because they're in a different market. Okay, so that means you own 90% of this market. Then what are you lying about?
But, here's a better question: is there really that much validity in that statement? Because I know some channels ran with that whole, well, see, Nintendo isn't really in the conversation because they're not.
Yeah, well, first of all, the market believes there's a distinction. Obviously, the regulators.
Even Nintendo probably would say that.
Nintendo probably believes it too. Yeah.
I don't.
Because they actively tried to get out of. They did the Blue Ocean thing with the Wii.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just bothers me with that narrative because it implies like they couldn't hang, and I'm like, well,
that's what bothers me too. I mean, they get a lot of this. Well, not a lot, but they get enough of this same games, third-party games that are on the high-end consoles still show up on the Switch.
And I think the other thing, the other major difference is that like Nintendo, for the most part, I mean, I know Nintendo isn't the best, but they also have the most like IPs that they still rotate around and do games for consistently. Like I said, they're not perfect, but they at least will be relatively consistent with like at least a good chunk of their titles. Whereas like Sony's strategy has been to essentially drop their major IPs after maybe 2 console generations at this point.
Yeah,
there's only like a handful.
It also has been to make third-party games look like first-party games. Like they tried. They did it with 2.
Oh yeah, they've been doing that since like
they did it with 2 Bethesda games, 2 high-profile Bethesda games. They did it with Deathloop, and they did it with Ghostwire Tokyo, right?
Yeah,
they were trying to get Starfield, and they were trying to get Redfall as well. That was right. That also came out of the documents. They were trying to get those and lock those up. So that's what they do. They, some people will say that, oh, well, buying a company, that you're buying the company's major games. Like if you're getting all their major games for a year, that's not really That's not really that much different than buying the company and keeping the games yourself, because you're essentially getting the games, and nobody's gonna care about that game. Nobody cares about Deathloop, even on Xbox. A year later, nobody cares about Ghostwire Tokyo. If you don't get those games day and date, a year later, I mean, nobody's going to care. So it's almost like those are your first-party games when you lock them up like that. And Sony knows that. That's why they do it. They don't do it to have fun. They're spending money. They think that's a smart way to do it. And I agree. It works.
I mean, yeah, because even the Nintendo's done that. I mean,
Nintendo does that
even
too.
Resident Evil 4 back in the day, they
I don't know why Capcom went with that deal.
I wonder how much money switched hands, but yeah, I mean, it is stupid when you hear stuff like that. And that it happened during the 360 era as well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I did.
I remember. Was it Down Magic or when Phil Spencer took over? He's like, yeah, we're no longer going to money hat games and pay for like timed first DLC and stuff.
Yeah, it killed them with
because Sony was still doing it,
and it's so stupid that actually is effective. That hey, we'll get the DLC a month early, and paying however much they pay.
That is my biggest problem. I can roll with, okay, you bought the company, do what the fuck you want to do with it, I guess. It's your games, it's your studio. But when you buy fucking DLC and make that's anti-consumer as shit. Because
Well,
I got the game, but I don't have the shit that he has because he has it on a different console. That's like
Yeah.
amiibos. Remember the certain amiibos were only available at certain stores? That's
Yeah.
bullshit. That is
Yeah.
bullshit.
I never
Yeah.
liked that back when I was playing Call of Duty. You know, I mean, I guess I did because I had the system that it came out first on.
Well, yeah.
But
Yeah,
it's like,
once again, it's a method that works.
but why does
Yes.
that work on?
But like, even
Because
like
because it's the titles that people care about the most.
yeah,
Like if you did it on like a small title that no one gave a shit about,
yeah, they don't
it's
care.
not gonna move anybody's needle. But you did it on fucking Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Oh, you
One of
get
the
access
biggest
to certain
IP
And
maps.
it's just the DLC. I mean, it's the DLC. It's like,
Yeah, but people are gonna
It's
buy
weird.
it because
Yeah.
it's Call of Duty.
Call of Duty dudes are all about that. They
I
want
only
that DLC early.
bought
they
the
want all that.
360 version just to play with my buddies. All my buddies had the 360 version. That's why I
Well, it
bought
was
it.
a little different in that era
Well,
because
that's
clearly
like
the
cheap
360
mentality
version, the 360 games were better. They ran better because it was harder to program for PS3, right? So a lot of those games just performed better on 360, and that's why you had a lot of certain games. Because also the 360 was early; it was a year earlier than the PS3 came out, so they had a jump start on those bigger new IPs like your Mass Effects.
Yeah, I
and
don't
all
think
that
Mass
stuff.
Effect ever came out on the PS3, if I'm not mistaken.
It did come out on PS3.
3
yeah.
did, or the trilogy did. I don't think just one by itself.
Yeah. And I'm thinking there was a
Cat.
chance for Gears of War was going to come out on PS3 at one point, but then Microsoft bought the company, so that wasn't going to happen. But I think a lot of the Xbox for most of that generation was the lead platform because the games just ran better and it was easier to program for.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, John Matrick was like trying to buy everything, and Phil Spencer's like, nope, we'll just buy the companies. We'll buy the companies instead of, because it's kind of stupid. Let's pay for marketing for a game that's still going to come out on other consoles.
They tried that on the Xbox One, but at that point the PS4 was so far ahead that I don't
Right.
think it mattered because they did it for some really big games.
Yeah, Dead Rising 3, right? Was it 3?
Yeah.
Well, even I'm talking like major franchises.
Well, that was pretty big at the time.
I mean, towards the end of the generation, like I remember seeing that. Like I know Fallout 76 wasn't a great game, but that one was all Xbox marketing. Every time you'd see it was playing Xbox at the end,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But
And it worked. And Sony said, "Oh, that works. Let's do that too."
Yeah.
And then they ran with it on
It's a
PS4.
shame because in a lot of ways I think Xbox is what kind of invited that practice to begin with.
Yeah, but Sony did the same shit when they came
No,
in.
I'm not
No,
saying
I mean, back in the PlayStation, it wasn't like it was a new idea. Let's buy all this shit. Let's buy
it felt really
buy
I don't know.
Psygnosis and call it Sony. They changed the name from Psygnosis to SIE. I mean, they did that shoot. They had Activision. They bought the rights to Crash. And that's why it wasn't on anything else. It was an Activision game, but they owned the rights to it for a while, and nobody else could get
To me,
it.
that was real dumb to lose that fucking mascot because that
Yeah.
really, in the long run, screwed them.
It was pretty stupid. But they still have Insomniac. They still got the company. Not
it was
Insomniac.
Naughty Dog.
Naughty Dog.
No.
I feel like I'm biased against Crash. I feel like they would have need to reinvent and try to make it like a traditional like 3D platformer instead of running at the screen and some of the really difficult 2D stuff. I don't know if it was difficult because
Is that what Crash 4 is?
Crash 4 is very similar.
Is it similar?
Mm-hmm.
It's similar, but it is a better. Like it is
It's
a good
better,
game.
but it's like
A lot of people say it's the best Crash.
they didn't
It's a
have
good
like
game. It's just you never try to 100% it. That's what people would tell you.
Oh yeah. Well,
they
it's a
didn't
good
have
game.
its like evolution in like Zelda and Mario, and Metal Gear. They had evolutions.
it kind of did, but nobody cared. It wasn't.
By the time-
It wasn't good enough. Like on the
You talking
GameCube.
about was it Twin Sanity and
Yeah.
what was it, Wrath of Cortex?
Twin Sanity. Yeah, they didn't do that. They didn't do that running towards all that kind of stuff. It was an open.
I think the
world.
problem that's always been my issue with Sony's game handling anyway is that like they never stick with an IP long enough to let it like be fully fleshed
Except for
out. That's
Ratchet
why
and Clank, where they just keep
God of
Ratchet
putting
and
War.
out the
Clank, which I think
same.
in my
God of
opinion,
War.
it seems more God of War.
2005.
It's more been a reimagining of it than anything. They're like,
Well, I'm
But
saying,
oh,
but
still,
they put enough into it to reimagine
yeah,
it.
they
I'll
didn't.
give it that.
They gave up on it for a while, but then it came back. But
That was
yeah,
my thing. It had its break period, but
I almost think like
but a
What
lot
was
of their
it,
IPs they
5
just dropped.
years? It was only like 5 years.
on
That's
some level, I feel like it's almost
As a Nintendo fan, that ain't shit.
yeah.
wow. It depends on the IP.
Unless you're gonna commit to a one per generation kind of strategy like Nintendo, I almost
Yeah.
think it's like I won't say it's not every situation, but I almost feel it's better to just to let a franchise go out on a high note, or instead of keep trying to put out new ones. Like Avatar: The
Like,
Last Airbender is like my favorite show of all time, and they just did the 3 seasons, and everybody wanted a fourth season, and they're like, nope, that was our story. So like, I'm not saying that
game, you gotta have a game specific. You're gonna make
well,
that.
like Ratchet and Clank, they just keep putting them out, and I'm like, you
Yeah,
know,
but the last. Well, I was gonna say the
they're
last one
not
didn't.
they're not
They didn't
getting
do
any
that well.
better. They're not getting better, in my opinion. You know,
Yeah, most people would say they're getting worse.
they're just kind of it's just kind of repeat. You know, they're not really reinventing the wheel.
It's very samey is what
Versus
but it's
like Jack and Daxter, which I don't think ended on a great note, but at the same time they ended it.
Yeah, I think Jack and Daxter got progressively worse.
It's like, are they just
Really?
gonna keep putting them out? Almost that
Jack
would
3, Doogie.
I think
It sounded
people-
like listen to Robert's back at the backlog. It sounded kind of shitty, the later ones. But unless
they're
unless
just
you're
different
Nintendo
kind of
and you're gonna come up with an idea before you know what game it's gonna go to. You're gonna come up with a gameplay idea and some kind of great new like Splatoon.
Well,
How Splatoon ended up, it wasn't just gonna be Splatoon to start. They just had an idea and they turned it into a game. They do that with 3D Mario games with like Galaxy. They just had an idea for this gravity and then they thought, we'll put it in Mario.
Well, they tried to do Mario, but Mario didn't really fit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think what the other thing that hurt Sony wasn't even just that. It's also that when they do have a game that they want to push, they really push it throughout the whole damn generation. Like when you think about like, I think I use Infamous as an example. Infamous had like what 2 of its main games on the PS3, and then immediately had its next one, and then we just haven't heard from it since.
Yeah,
Like it, and they do that a lot. Like even Uncharted, fucking what was it? The first 3 games or 2 games on the PS3?
well, Uncharted's pretty
3
much. It's a different thing because Uncharted lost Amy Hennig, which is a huge part of Uncharted.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I think that has a lot to do with it.
And
I'm just saying, like, even God of War, I think went through that. Where God of War was just on, like,
Yeah.
it was just multiple. They do that thing where they'll throw multiple of
Well,
they
they
did
reinvented
too.
God of War because what's his name was no longer a thing.
Corey or Joffrey.
He's a podcaster now. Yes.
Well, they did 2 God of Wars on the PS2. They did 3 in Ascension on PS3, and they've done 2 on
Ascension was
PS4.
trash.
So I mean, it's not like they're putting out 3 or 4 per generation. And I'm of the mind that I said it with Forza Horizon. I think if you do
Don't forget PSP.
2 max per generation, but
Yeah, that's
one,
right,
like if you
yeah.
bring out a Forza Horizon like 2 years into a new generation and you haven't had one in 4, 5, 6 years since the last one on the last generation, I think to me that, and maybe Forza Horizon is not the right type of game, but like an Uncharted, if you did, like if they waited until, let's say, a couple years from now, you get a new Uncharted, and then you don't get another one till the PS6. To me, that makes it more impactful, more, like what Nintendo does, basically.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, we get every once in a while you get a couple 3D Mario games in a generation, but they're so like get so excited about it because it's like we know we're only gonna get 1 or 2 tops for a generation. Yeah. So when a new one comes out, it's something to be celebrated. Now, if we got them every 2 years, I think we'd probably be over it by now. Like honestly. Yeah,
the only IPs I can think of that Nintendo does that with is Zelda's been kind of like that in recent years, and Splatoon. Splatoon's been like that recently, where you had 2 and 3 on the same console, and then you're getting 2 Zeldas on Switch.
Well, they've had 2 Zeldas on.
Well,
that's what I'm saying. I know. All right, look, T. Hey, T. Hey, relax.
Hey,
I
same thing
know.
happened on GameCube. It's fine.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying.
And
That's
the
what I'm saying.
Wii.
That's what
And
I'm
the Wii,
saying.
yeah.
That's
What they do.
something. That's an IP that I mean. That's one of Nintendo's IPs that does follow that same kind of like logic. Hey, let's
But
put
imagine
out.
if like if it was, I'm trying to think of a Nintendo, like Metroid. How special it was when Dread. Now that was too long. I would say you did get Samus Returns on the 3DS, and then you get Dread. Now we're getting Prime remastered. Now when Prime 4, it's it's gonna be a big deal. Now if we had 3 Primes already on the Switch, and we're getting Prime a 4th one, it would be way less exciting. That's why I always
Kind of like
say,
Splatoon.
yeah. But I mean, Splatoon 3 sold
Even
well.
Splatoon, yeah, even Splatoon isn't that bad.
But
Only
No, it's
I
not.
just think it makes it more
really
special when
close.
they do release a game. F-Zero, 20 years later, they finally release a new game. And
Oh boy.
but and then there's all like running into the ground. Fire Emblem. I think, speaking from the outside looking in, it felt like Fire Emblem fans were just kind of wore out after you got like 4 games and fairly close.
Well, yeah. If we're going from like the 3DS, the 3DS has 3 main Fire Emblems, which are all beefy fucking games. And I think the first one came out 2012, 2013, and the last one came out 2016. We're almost getting like a Fire Emblem game almost every fucking year.
Wait, are you
And
counting
I'm counting.
You had
I'm
Awakening, you had
counting
Fates, and you had
Fates and Echoes.
Conquest? Okay. Oh, Echoes. I forgot about Echoes.
Yeah, the remake one. And then even on the Switch, we've had
Fire Emblem Warriors. You got 3 Houses, and now another Fire Emblem Warriors,
and then Engage,
and now Engage, which
like Fire Emblem went from like we might make one more to like all right, when's the next Fire Emblem coming out? Like it's become
it went from life support to every other damn year. It's like that.
It's become
same with like a Mario Party. It's like
Mario Party falls in that line too.
They put a lot out on GameCube. They put a lot out on N64, and then people were like, not excited. It's not exciting anymore. So
it could be a bi-yearly thing if you really like make it fresh, but it's not.
I think Mario Party's kind of slowed down in that way because we've only had 2 on Switch, right?
Yeah, well, 1.5.
What? All right.
Shit, you can almost say 2 halves if it sound like the first game. It was
it's just a bunch of mini games.
Then the last game was kind of a few of the old N64 maps, but it didn't seem like there was that much to it. But I mean, if you were in charge and you knew you had a big selling IP, I can understand executives wanting to do it. But imagine when the next 3D Mario comes out. There's no way it's going to be Odyssey 2 at this point, because if they were going to do
it, it's not very Nintendo-like. Like Nintendo touts, oh, we want to make the next game when we got a good idea and blah blah blah. Like that's their mantra. So to see them put out 20,000 Kirby's,
it's like
like, wait a minute, I thought you.
I think to me, I think with Nintendo, they're very like, it depends on the IP. Certain IPs, you're gonna just see more now. Even Pokemon, you get Pokemon like almost,
Pokemon's another one that comes out.
Pokemon,
frequently.
I think goes about.
That's Pokemon's thing though. Like they've done that. They're the Call of Duty of Nintendo. Like that's kind of their thing.
Yeah, imagine Animal Crossing coming out every year or 2.
Oh, no,
Animal Crossing also was another IP that went from like we're cool with it to like, damn, when's the next Animal Crossing come out? Yeah, like what the fuck?
If you're just like executives, especially like an American company, you're gonna be like, all right, we gotta get the next Animal Crossing out like in 2023. Get it out, get it done after those sales. But Nintendo's gonna be no. I mean, I guarantee you ain't gonna see them into the next Switch, the next generation.
Yeah, because you need. Yeah, go ahead.
Certain IPs don't need to show up all the fuck. Like to me, Animal Crossing is very much a once in a generation thing because there's so much shit you can do with it. We're doing stuff for holidays. We're adding in new villagers. We're returning old villagers. Like
it takes willpower at the top for that. It takes intelligence and to be able to resist the pressures of sales of stock shareholders. When you have a 40 million seller and they're like, that was 2019, where's the next game?
And Mario Kart 8.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
Mario Kart is another one where it's like it has so much longevity. There's no need to like make.
Yeah, you don't have to have multiple Mario Karts.
The fact that they're doing new characters now, though, new tracks and characters, I'm like, at this point, you should have saved that. just
You
bring
should
over.
have. I think you should have.
Just bring over the tour
that's
tracks, fine. But now you're bringing over new characters and really cool looking new tracks. I'm like, come on, like that.
I'm cool with it, but here's the thing: I'm not as excited as I would be if it was a new Mario Kart. You
Yeah,
know
of
what I mean?
course.
Like that's the
But
only.
How
I mean,
I mean, how
we're also in like a different industry as well. Like it's not like
what
like it's not like back in the day where like putting out another game was important because most people wouldn't like keeping that hot was way more important. Whereas now buzzword and online can keep a game alive for years after its initial run through hell. Online can make a game go from being selling mediocrely to like a fucking phenomenon. You get the right memes and people behind it, yeah, shit can explode.
Yeah.
I just think for certain titles, I hate to use Fire Emblem again because I don't like bullying it, but the thing that confuses me with Nintendo with Fire Emblem always bugs me is that I understand things that sell well, sure, make more of them, get that. Fire Emblem's like biggest accomplishment in like recent years was selling over 1 million, which I don't act like that's a small
Well, I
feat,
think
but
yeah, they're
considering
probably like a
you have
2 to
other
3 million
IPs
now.
over, well, yeah, now, but I'm saying like other IPs you had over here, like fucking Mario and Zelda were selling that like on launch day. So I was like, what made the Fire Emblem crowd be like,
Well, maybe
that's the one we need to spam to death?
well, maybe sales is related because if you can release one game and sell 20, 30, 40 million versus another franchise where you get 2 to 3 per game, then you might be more inclined to put 4 out to get 12 million total in a generation versus one Mario Odyssey, which is at like 25 million. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
My problem with that is that my biggest problem with it is that you're losing some diversity when you put out a bunch of one game.
Mhm.
Like, you know, there's resources that could have been went into 3D Donkey Kong that everybody wants,
Mm-hmm.
or another Star Fox, you know, or something like that, you know, or F-Zero. Like that's that's my biggest issue with it. If the games are selling, I understand it, but also you can end up with fatigue. You know, you can cause fatigue by putting out so many games. Like I'm done with Kirby on Switch. I'm done. I don't need.
And that goes
I
back
mean,
to the whole discussion we had with Clocked It back when he was a regular. We talked about why he asked us why are we ready for the next Switch, and I made the point. Well, how many Mario games, how many Zelda games, how whatever Splatoon games do you need on the same system before you're like, all right, I'm ready for something new because
oh no, it's down.
they I don't care what you say unless it's something like the 3D Mario team where they can come up with a really unique gameplay for each game. Like Splatoon, they're not going to do that. So the biggest avenue for change is going to be new hardware that opens up new possibilities, whether it's AI, whether it's something rendering that they could make a new game mode that they can't do something. New hardware is going to open up some avenues. And I always said, like, yeah, I mean, having 3 great 3D Mario games on the Switch, I'm not against it. But just imagine only having one on this Switch, and then on the next Switch they come out with one, and I mean, yeah, they could put it on the Switch if obviously they could probably scale it down, but at the same time, it makes it more special.
Yeah,
When you
that's
get
what we've had pretty much outside of NES. We've had one Mario.
I think it also goes to something T always said. Like when Nintendo it's different than like the other companies because Nintendo, you don't know what kind of console you're gonna get. You don't know what kind of controller you're gonna get. So like when people are talking about, well, man, I can't wait for like the next Mario Kart. Half of it is the excitement of the game, but the other half is, well, who the heck knew after the GameCube we're getting Wii wheels and shit, and we can do motion driving. Like that's with Nintendo consoles because they became so wildly different. Half of the appeal of seeing new games on a new console was just how are they gonna make this one engaging in a different way.
Yeah.
So like it's I would say Nintendo consoles are always different because of that specific reason about people getting excited about it. Like I'm getting excited because I'm like, shit, am I have a cardboard box taped to my face while I'm fucking playing, or am I spinning the fucking Joy Cons on the back to do trick shots? Like I don't know.
Right.
And,
That's
what
part
is
of the excitement. That is part of the excitement.
Speaking of excitement, like we'll transition here. Tears of the Kingdom it's not even close to my excitement for Breath of the Wild. Like,
No.
it's been longer. Like, it's longer in between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom than it's gonna actually be
Any
this
other Zelda, right? Any
between
other?
Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild was about the same timeline, but because it's I mean, I wouldn't say because it's arriving on the same system, but it's because it's using uh, the same Hyrule and it's on the same system. It's like I know it's going to be great. I have no doubts. I'm looking forward. I'm debating whether I'm going to watch the footage tomorrow or not. But
Is that official?
yeah,
Yeah, it is.
10 minutes of gameplay.
10 minutes.
I'm.
Yeah.
It's just. It's not even close. It's not even close to the same level of excitement. And it's. Is it because, like I said, it's a direct sequel and a similar environment, or is it because it's on the same system? I bet it's a combination. Probably more of the direct sequel. If this was a completely unique idea, I don't know. It's never going to be matched. My excitement for Twilight Princess was pretty huge, way more than it was for Wind Waker, to be honest. Like Ocarina, it was one of the most excited I've ever been for a game, and then Breath of the Wild probably topped that. What's up, Dark? What does that say?
Dark Lineal.
Lineal.
Zima.
Yo.
What's up? So do you guys feel like? Well, I mean, people have been debating about this for a while, and we only mentioned it a little bit on previous podcasts. Do you think Nintendo's not advertising, promoting Tears of the Kingdom? They're not showing enough, or do you think they don't have anything to show, or they think they're just being secretive about it? Because I feel there's a bunch of people with a bunch of different ideas on it.
People need to be fair about this. Like, we got a lot of Nintendo content coming in general. Like, when you think about it, you got the Mario movie, like in another week or so, and they usually push whatever game's coming out next. So like as soon as the Bayonetta's Origins was out, now they're already starting. They're starting their push for Advance Wars. So when Advance Wars comes out, I think that's when you'll get the heavy push for Zelda, because they know Zelda will sell regard. Like I want to act like they won't sell in general, but like Zelda is one of those games that kind of just sells off its name alone. And I think it'll get its heavy push once Advance Wars is out. Personally, that's my opinion. Like the reason why I think Breath of the Wild got as big of a push as it got, because it was the main game that was coming out. It was like the first major title.
The system seller.
Yeah, exactly. And now it's like, well, shit. We just had we had Octopath 2. You had fucking Bayonetta. You have Advance Wars. Like Zelda's just on the list of titles that are coming out like back to back to back. So it's like I can wait until Advance Wars is out before I really start pushing Zelda. And hell, they're still kind of pushing it now, even with this footage.
Well, I've seen they've been promoting the last game. They've been showing a lot of clips on Twitter from Breath of the Wild in anticipation of Tears of the Kingdom, and people are like, "Oh, you're using the last game to promote the new game." Well, it is a direct sequel, so
yeah.
And I've been seeing a lot more like people still doing some really crazy stuff with the physics and this one Twitter. I'm not even following them, but every day I see doing all kinds of trick shots and stuff using stasis to hit an object and then go flying up and then like shoot a guardian, and people are still posting that kind of stuff.
People need to be real about
it.
And
I mean,
Breath of the Wild is going to be one of those masterclass games that will always be in the conversation. Yeah. So, like, when you put out a sequel for it, hell, the first game is like almost the best promotion you can get. It's like all that shit you can do in this game.
It's not unsimilar. I was just gonna say it's not unsimilar to Majora's Mask. Like the way people felt about that. Like people, it started off. Trying to remember the code names. It was like Eura Zelda, and then like Zelda Gaiden or something. Zelda Gaiden. And then it became obviously Majora's Mask. People were excited for it, but it wasn't like what they saw when they first saw Ocarina of Time, and they were like, "Holy crap!" Because you're going from
2D to 3D.
Top down 2D first of all, yeah, and Breath of the Wild gave that kind of feeling because
it's the first open world, like true open world 3D,
true open, exactly. So it's nothing against Tears of the Kingdom. I'm sure there's going to be, just like Majora's Mask, there's going to be a bunch of Tears of the Kingdom. What do I call it? Hipsters?
Mm-hmm.
And
So do you
saying like,
think?
"Oh, Tears of the Kingdom is clearly the better game." That's going to be a lot of that as well. So it'll
Honestly,
be fine.
Well, the difference, I would say, the difference is that Majora's Mask, I don't think was initially loved when it first came out, right? Like, I
No,
feel
people love
like
Majora's
I
Mask
didn't
always.
honestly.
no, no, but I feel like the love for it came later, is what I'm saying. Like, I feel like
Well,
it's very
that's
similar
part
to
of
like
the
Wind
Zelda
Waker. I feel like
cycle.
it's.
Well, here's how it
Oh,
worked.
really?
Yeah,
Here's
that's it's just part of the Zelda
maybe
cycle.
my experience or my thoughts on it back then. Not only did I not buy it at launch, I had no interest of buying it. It wasn't until
Oh, you what?
2005
You're different.
2005 no 2006 is when I got it off eBay because I was in this
You're
house. I
what?
had no interest in the game.
You had no interest in Majora's
No
Mask?
interest in Majora's Mask.
You didn't play it when it came out?
I played it 2006 on the N6.
What?
Bought it on eBay.
And,
That's
Two.
what I'm
There
wow.
saying.
was
I don't.
multiple.
I don't.
There was multiple factors. What did it come out like 2000 by the time it came out?
Yeah, 2000.
So I already had the Dreamcast, and I
Me
was
too.
a
Me
year
too.
away from the GameCube,
Keep going.
and I just
Same.
I wasn't like T. I wasn't a mega N64 fanboy. Like I just was like I moved on. I'm on the Dreamcast. I don't.
A slick little dig there.
I'm I'm just saying I wasn't all in on the N64. Although I loved Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, and GoldenEye. But once the Dreamcast came out, it was like changed my world. Like that to me, it's hard to go back.
I've heard
See,
people
look,
like
So-
I've heard people like Juice say stuff like that. That's why I'm like, I don't think Majora's Mask went through.
If
I
it,
think Majora's Mask wasn't as like well loved in the beginning.
I think if you
And-
take away the Dreamcast and it's just the N64, there's in the PlayStation 1 and Majora's Mask was coming out, I think I would have been a lot more excited. Probably would have picked it up. But
can somebody bring up the meta score for that thing? I think it's the same thing. It's late in the generation. People are like, what can you do to be better than Ocarina of Time? A lot of people were like Juice, were moving on, and Dreamcast was out there playing Marvel vs. Capcom every day, all day.
playing Soul
I mean,
Calibur.
that
Soul
was such,
Calibur.
it's quality. It's so much
Right.
quality.
So people, mentally had moved on, but the game itself, it wasn't any less liked. I mean, just
I mean,
look
when I
around.
played it, I liked it. I didn't like love it, but I
Right.
liked it.
And there is some difference. I mean, there's some issues. Like my sister, she's recently playing it. She's
the 30S version or the
she's 35. No, she's
Oh,
playing
the OG?
No, she's playing it on Switch. She's playing
the emulated version.
Yeah, she's playing that. But she played I want to say she played Ocarina of Time on Wii, probably the Wii. Loved it. One of her favorite games ever. Now she's playing Majora's Mask, and she's like, I can't do anything. I don't know. I'm confused. Like it's not as easy of a kind of pick up and
Yeah, I
go
didn't care for
type of game.
the 3-day mechanic really.
Right, the 3D
A lot of
mechanics.
people didn't
throw her off.
understand it from what I kept seeing.
Yeah.
Initially,
So-
I mean.
I get it. So that's the difference. But it's not like a black sheep situation. It's not like
And
not
I
like
mean,
if
a short
Super Mario
development
Brothers 2 or
cycle.
something.
I know Retro hates when I talk about Wind Waker, but this only has like four. Doesn't have like four main dungeons
Had like
or
15
three.
months, 15-month development cycle for that thing, or something like that. Yeah, it only has like 4 main dungeons, which works with the story because you have the
Yeah, it works
giants
for
or
the
whatever.
story, and it's like, hey, if you like it, you like it. I didn't mind it.
Yeah.
I beat it, so but I wasn't in no hurry to play it. Like I said, it was.
Yeah, I was definitely way more excited for it when it was supposed to be on the 64 DD. Like it was supposed to be a 64 DD game.
Imagine if it was a GameCube launch title, though. That would have been a whole different situation.
Yeah, it would have been.
But
It'd have been beneficial to Wind Waker if it was. But yeah.
I think it would have helped the GameCube too to have a Zelda game at launch, and they would have had a longer development, so they could have added a few more dungeons probably.
That way you wouldn't miss Mario so much.
So
Yeah.
getting back to Tears of the Kingdom, it's just I guess we won't know until we play the game if Nintendo held back, if it was a good thing or a bad thing, because until we know what those things are that we haven't seen yet, we can't say if it was worth hiding or worth keeping from people, or if it was like, really, this is all they had. They didn't show this because that's all they had, or something like that. I'm not saying they will, but that won't know until we play the game, really, to know if, like, hey, they could have did that, promoted, they could have showed this, they could have done this. It's like, at this point, it's just complete speculation based on some footage that,
Yeah.
I mean,
Majora's Mask is a 95 on Metacritic, so it did,
yeah. Back then,
pretty well.
I feel like a lot of games scored really high back in those days. Like,
Well, there was less, there was less.
You didn't have that many reviewers.
mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
There were less reviewers back then, so less, opportunity for lower scores. But, it was still pretty good for the sentiment of the times of the game. There was less gamers back then too, so
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, I just think it's just a factor of, it was late in the generation. Ocarina of Time hit just, I mean, that year for gaming was just ridiculously good, 98. So it was just,
Yeah, I don't
it
think
was,
Tears of the Kingdom's gonna have to worry too much about being the end of the generation unless
No, it
Nintendo
won't.
announces their next hardware and releases in March. It could cut off its sales
yeah,
unless.
when Ocarina, or excuse me, when Majora's Mask came out, we knew GameCube was coming.
Mm-hmm.
So people had mentally moved on. So, but that's
So
not the case when it comes to the Switch right now.
unless it's just a fully backwards compatible, seamless transition, and then
Yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom can kind of be a like with the PS5, a lot of the cross-gen games are carrying the system, and it's like if you have the new Switch, obviously you're gonna get that version of, let's say, the next 3D Mario games cross-gen. You're like, if you have the new Switch, you're gonna buy the new Switch, the Switch 2 version of Mario, like, and it's gonna feel like a Switch 2 game to you, like with Breath of the Wild come out on the Wii U, but it felt like a Switch game.
So the eShop's officially dead, I guess.
Yeah.
That's sad. I was just
And
on it, and I guess
the
it died
end of an era, ladies and gentlemen.
in the middle of me
Don't
being on it.
cry.
There goes the end of the eShop music.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there goes
that we would never hear again.
there goes personality when it comes to buying games on a Nintendo console.
I like the Switch. I just boot it up and I'm instantly I just get right to my game and I don't have to worry about anything. I just like that. It's just clean, it's simple. Why are they able to do so much with the same amount of RAM, same amount of processing, and do all this cool stuff?
It still boots in. There's just nothing on the page.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Which is so weird. There's nothing there. It boots in. It
so
shows your menu, your My Menu, your eShop home.
so now
My balance is still there, but there's
Nintendo needs to do one last patch for the Wii U and just make it just an offline system. Like, just get rid of those icons and just have it work for the future. You ain't got to worry about that connecting it.
There it is. Your last new message for your eShop. You can't see it, but it's coming.
You're dead. Oh, my bad.
I'll read it. It says, "It is no longer possible to make purchases in Nintendo eShop for Wii U system. It is also no longer possible to download free content, including games and demos, unless you hack that bitch. You can get whatever the hell you want." Screw you, Nintendo. I'm going pirate.
It's trending right now.
I'm homebrewing my Switch or my Wii U for sure.
Yep, that's why I bought my new one. I got my white one here. I'm home brewing the hell out of this bed, boy. So,
there's some games that it actually, God, was it? It runs some Dolphin games actually pretty well, like some GameCube.
No, GameCube it's not an emulation. GameCube is
well, you can get it to run GameCube, but I seen where someone said the Dolphin emulator on Wii U actually runs.
Oh yeah, Dolphin, yeah, runs them better, and high res. It's nice. I'm not doing that because.
But yeah, you can hack it and just run ROMs of GameCube games natively because it's the same. The hardware's there.
It's wonder why didn't they put it in?
Just because of the disc, wouldn't read the disc, and just, I mean, it's so stupid because they couldn't put
the Wii reads GameCube discs. It's a full size disc reader.
I wonder if there's just something.
They could have done the same thing.
Then they was like, we have to put the GameCube controller ports or something. They probably had a reason.
I think they were thinking, we're gonna remaster these GameCube games and resell them.
That's
And
what they're
that's
going
nothing
to
wrong
now.
with that.
I think that's.
Yeah.
I
The
think that's the
problem is
way.
the Wii U didn't
The
sell
Wii U-
well, so they couldn't do that.
So
Problem is the
I'm on
GameCube didn't have a whole lot of first-party games to be remastered either. So that's just
I
facts.
know we're not lying about the Wind Waker. Stop it, Retro Dead. We're not lying. Even Nintendo themselves. This is where it's coming from.
Well, it had
Nintendo's
9
themselves
dungeons,
said,
T. It had
we
9
rushed it.
dungeons.
Yeah, it had
Oh
9
my god.
If you count the
side
fortress as 2.
I do want
guess
to. I do
Nintendo was-
want to bring up one quick thing. On Twitter, obviously the 3DS and the eShop is trending, but you know what else is trending?
What?
Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Really? You probably can't download the data
The
packs.
patch. Yeah.
I wanted to download. Well,
Now you just get the
I ain't gonna
suffer.
pay for it. I'll just download for free. I was gonna download Devil's Third because that bitch is just. It's gonna double in price now. With the eShop gone.
So the Tears of the Kingdom's at 10 a.m. tomorrow?
Yeah.
I'll take a poop break at work at 10.
It's only
Let me
10
take a
minutes,
shit.
so
Hold on
Yeah,
a second.
that's my-
Let me
that's
take
a-
that shit.
that's a
I'm taking
reasonable-
my phone with me, sir.
It's a long ass shit break.
Ah,
Mm.
that's normal.
Mm.
Yeah, pull out my newspaper and.
Fuck, where's Zeltic's new video? I need to know theory crafting.
So I haven't
goddamn.
watched any theory videos on Tears of the Kingdom.
Is that because you don't care? Because
I
you...
have.
I've been
It's not
avoiding them.
Well, let's be real, T. I'm not surprised.
So here's this person I was talking about earlier doing all these trick shots.
Oh yeah,
Let me make sure it plays again for. I just got it up on the.
yeah, because I think I missed it. You might have to go back. Oh, what the fuck?
That's some good timing.
That's ridiculous, man. Man, showing
Do you
out.
see it, T?
I missed it. No, I'm not watching.
You watching?
This shit's immaculate, bro. I think this game is immortalized.
It's insane.
I love watching it fall too.
I think I don't. I think we've talked about this before. I'm curious. Do y'all view like this to be the best Zelda game or not?
I do for sure. It's not even close for me, but I know T differs.
It's just not fair. You know, like I want to say it because it's what are the bias? It's a little bit of recency bias because people always say, "Oh, nostalgia," but they never say recency bias because that's also a thing.
Yeah.
Impact wise, see, I don't even because a lot of stuff.
T.
A lot of stuff
bro.
definitely. Well, hold on now. Z targeting was huge for gaming.
No. We're not.
Huge.
I'm not trying. We ain't trying to disrespect. There's no disrespect for him. I'm just asking you. Okay, here's a better question. Is it like top 2 for you at least?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I go back and forth. I don't outright say Ocarina is better, but I I go back and forth with it. I feel like it's the best, and then sometimes I think about Ocarina. I'm like, oh, pretty
I
great.
don't know if it's the same girl that did the Chun-Li or a different girl, but that's some spot on.
I don't care, but good God
That's
Almighty,
some spot on cosplay right there.
God damn.
I mean, there's issues with it. There's no.
No, I'm not saying it's perfect, but like
the boss is way whacker than Ocarina of Time.
I will say, you talk about the nostalgia and recency. I mean, the fact that I can still boot up Breath of the Wild like 6 years later and then find myself spending 2 hours, like for me, that's not usual, not to still be playing a game that's been out this long. And I can still get lost and still be amazed by it after 6 years. Ocarina of Time, I mean, I played through it twice, I think.
Again, that's a personal thing.
I know, that's what I'm
feel
saying
the
for
same
me.
way about it. Yeah.
Like, I go back to Ocarina of Time. I played it on the GameCube, that promo disc that came with Wind Waker, and I beat it again. But it didn't get me that second or third time I played it. Like
It still wows me. Obviously, I think of the era itself when I play it, but just the music, the dungeons, the web, the tools, the secrets. Like that fucking game is amazing, bro. Amazing.
I still think about when I was playing it, and it was Christmas time, and it's the only time I ever put Christmas lights up in my bedroom.
Yeah.
And I just remember going down there, turning those lights on and turning the other lights
Yeah.
off, and just playing that game and being amazed. Like, I mean, it definitely isn't
It's the
far
game.
behind.
It's the game that made my son a Zelda fan. And then I didn't force Ocarina of Time on him. I had 3D Ocarina of Time 3D, and he would just kind of get my game and play it. And all of a sudden, that's all he was playing for a while. I'm like, holy crap! Then he beats it. He was like 7 or 8 when he beat it, and he was a Zelda fan ever since. He got Breath of the Wild after that. So if it still worked for him, well, obviously he was a lot younger when he played it,
Oh.
but it amazed him. Even in what was that, 2013? Well, he didn't beat it until 2016. I want to say 2015, 2016. So it
I
was
mean, it
still
had
amazing.
I mean, both games had a massive impact on me. I just looking
Yeah,
at the longevity and I mean, obviously there's Ocarina of Time was a massive game for when it came out. The world we just were blown away by Hyrule Field, and then Breath of the Wild took that to the next level for its
but
era.
impact on me, Ocarina of Time easily, because again, it's the era. Like I was way more wowed by Ocarina of Time than I was Breath of the Wild. There is a lot of wow factor in Breath of the Wild, but I'm talking about looking around at other games of the era.
Right.
There was no comparison to that, to Ocarina of Time at the time. Breath of the Wild, there's no comparison when it comes to the world of the game. Well, it falters in other things, like I said, the boss battles, the story was not nowhere near as compelling as Ocarina of Time was. So, but then again, that's just it's personal tastes. That's how it works.
I don't, and
Yeah, of course.
I think we're talking about like how do you feel Tears of the Kingdom if the next Switch don't come out until like holiday 2024 or later? Do you think it's going to be like a Skyward Sword possibly situation where the sales get cut off, even Majora's Mask? Or do you think it's going to just, because of Breath of the Wild being so big and the highest selling game, do you think it's going to be impacted at all? Because I don't know. I'm
It ain't
just,
gonna sell as well as Breath of the
no,
Wild.
I don't think it'll do the
Right.
25 million, but I'm just
What
curious.
do you think? Where do you think it'll land? Then is my question.
Depends on when they announce the next system. I mean, if it's 2 years, if it gets 2 solid years, I think it should be 15 to 20 million, maybe 10 to 15 at the minimum.
Yeah, I was thinking around 13 million.
And it
Which
depends on
is
the impact. If this game comes out and they're like, "Holy shit, they held
well,
back some just amazing stuff," and that's all
I,
people are talking about.
yeah, and I think Nintendo feels that way too. I mean, because that's what happens. The sequel doesn't do as well,
Well, it's hard to
usually.
top a game
Usually,
that people argue is perfection. Like
right.
when
And
it's
that's why
like, hey,
Nintendo's charging $10 more because they got to make
yeah,
up
it's like
the
Could
fact
be.
that they're
I mean, that's always gonna be
I
hard.
thought
I know
I thought I saw
you,
pre-orders were higher though, which
yeah,
yeah,
because you
that's
guys,
gonna happen. That happens all the time.
because it
Still,
was. I
yeah,
mean,
you
Breath of the Wild was a
guys bring it.
launch game, so there wasn't
right.
that many people owned a
Well,
Switch.
Yeah, but I mean, but even now, people still regard that game as
Breath
like
of the Wild, remember,
perfection.
was selling more copies
Than
than
the
the fucking
Switch.
system.
Yeah, it was outselling. It was outselling the console.
Yeah.
Some
So
people thought that as a bad science at one point.
And
how's that a bad sign?
People were thinking, "Oh, they're just buying the Wii U version."
It's ET all over again. ET outsold fucking Ataris, and all the bitches
Yes.
ended up in a landfill.
Listen.
so, what do you think they're
listen.
gonna show tomorrow in the 10 minutes?
I
Is
mean,
it
there's
just
a
gonna be
lot.
like a straight 10 minutes, or you think it's just gonna be a bunch of cut up segments of stuff? Like, is it just gonna be him with like Sakurai just grabs a controller and plays for 10 minutes to show some stuff, or you?
Yeah, like I'm not even excited. I'm not even excited for this little thing. I'm
Is
excited
it just
to play the
because you're not
game,
excited
but-
for the game, or is it more so?
No, I'm excited for the game. It's just like I just want to play the game. I don't care about.
Are they gonna show one really cool new mechanic, or just I just have no idea what they're actually.
That's the thing.
Good
That's
deal.
why I'm kind of not excited because I'm not sure. Like, what Why don't they just do a direct?
They could show like
direct about it, right? They're not doing that. They're just doing
Mhm.
this 10-minute thing because they're not doing a
You
direct.
think it's a response to people saying they want to see more?
Nintendo doesn't respond to that kind of shit.
Yeah,
They
Nintendo.
don't
I
care.
don't think Nintendo cares.
Nintendo don't care about that shit.
It's just weird for them to say, "Here's 10 minutes of Tears of the Kingdom." Like they've done anything like this before.
I think they're doing it because they're not doing a direct. I think if you were expecting a direct after this,
No,
I don't think it's going to happen.
if we get any direct,
It would make any sense.
Watch
it
it.
would probably
Watch.
have to be it would have to be like a June direct at this point. Like I don't think
Watch
the
it
next
be
and that's just the
Anuma.
cover of the. Oh, go ahead.
I'm just gonna say it's gonna be Anuma finding a couple wheels and some items, putting together a vehicle, and then driving on Hyrule Field. Watch it be that for the 10 minutes. Like they showed that in the trailer, and a lot of people are say, "Oh, that's the spot where he used magnesis to get the wheel."
Well,
out
remember when they did that demonstration for Breath of the Wild at the Game Awards? Would you say he did a decent amount of stuff in that one? Although some of those things were never in the main game.
It was a early build to compared to what we got. But yeah, if it's just something like like just off screen, I'm gonna show you some stuff, and it's like it wouldn't be worth it if they don't have at least something to get people talking.
But they got to show something, right? They're gonna be even if it's one little thing. I think you'll get something new.
Just show that, confirm that you jump from the sky and seamlessly land on the ground on your horse and take off. Now that would be something. But back in the day,
they're hiding the mechanics for a reason. I think they don't, if it's really, they feel like whatever their cool mechanics are really cool. Like they're patented.
because they can't get away with.
Yeah, but I'd rather you be proud of your shit than be like, I don't know. Bro.
You remember Breath of the Wild when all they did was show 8 seconds of Link on a horse coming up to a hill in the grass, and we were like, "Oh my god!"
Because that's all they needed to do.
They can't do anything like that now.
No, they
the
can't.
fans lost their fucking mind.
Lenny
Not
Wright
with
has
this game because again, it looks a lot.
You know why they could have done it? They could have done it for one specific occasion. If it was a playable Zelda, I think you could have done it.
Or the art style change really.
People would have lost their shit just off of that. Like,
if
what
they showed you run around as Zelda and like doing an attack,
people would lose their fucking minds.
Yeah.
So I think you could have done it.
They might as well. If Zelda's playable, which is again,
that would imply she's not kidnapped again, or like.
I don't think so because there's that line where she says, "Lend him your power," and unless it's right before they fall, right before she falls.
Well, I think I won't say what the theory is because you're specifically not watching these. So, but I think it's a possibility she's not or she is playable.
That's the whole reason I did the emulator. I was, and then the mod wouldn't work. My PC wouldn't something in one of my settings somewhere that I couldn't get the mod to work. That's the only reason I downloaded it on the CEMU, and then I ended up just playing like 70 hours in the game without being able to play as her. But I think that would be something people be talking about for sure.
Which is hilarious in retrospect. Like every other game gives you gender options up the ass, but when Zelda does, it's like, what the fuck?
The game's named after her. It's time. It's time.
Or if they showed that Link
I'm not against.
Link had to team up with like, Demise or something. Some just random thing. I just popped in my head, but something like that.
Yeah, that's what they team up with the enemy or an enemy. That happens it happens in cartoons.
What about
the anime?
What do they call it? The Higa? What's the name of the clan?
The Higa clan. Yeah.
Yiga. There we go. I got paranoid. I thought it was.
But you do that in the DLC.
So I haven't played the DLC.
No, that was in Hyrule. Or
that's
Warriors.
It's Hyrule Warriors.
Calamity.
Yeah, that was
all I hope is they say, you know what? No traditional dungeons, and I'll be like, yes. No, just kidding. I know Retrodesk in the chat.
Matthew Shea said they don't want Genshin Impact to steal the idea before the game comes out. I totally agree with that. Totally agree. Because they can implement DLC like that. So we'll beat you to it, Nintendo. Thanks.
Thanks for the monies. Like, you fucks.
So I don't know why I didn't think of this before, as far as me getting the game for not $70. I mean, the voucher thing, but I was going to use the voucher for my son. But we're both on the thing, so he can also get a voucher. I don't know why I didn't think of that.
That is true. He could get his own voucher.
He can get his own voucher. I get my own, and I still get the deal.
Which
So,
reminds
I
me, I
guess-
still gotta figure out what the other game I'm gonna get with it is because I damn sure haven't picked it yet.
I'm thinking Pikmin 4. I'm gonna put it up for Pikmin.
That's
4.
probably the best, but I kind of wanted a physical version of that.
Well, I'm gonna get it later anyway. That's what I do. But
that's my problem. Like I want a physical version, and there are certain titles I'll double dip for. I have certain IPs that you will get my money twice because I'm a weak piece of shit.
Yeah.
Pikmin is not that IP. No offense to Pikmin, it's just not.
Yeah, I'll get a used copy.
Because I know I gotta get it. Advance Wars is definitely gonna be physical. I don't know what the other game's gonna be.
I'm trying to think. I still want to get Dead Space, and I should have. I had it when it was down to 50. I should have just picked it up. But
you can get Cereza.
Somebody last week said that game was really good.
Yeah, I hear it's good.
I've heard really good things.
Over. It's just $60, man. You guys doing a lot.
Damn, dog.
For that game,
you can put it at 55.
That looks like a $40 game. I'm sorry, Robert, if you're listening.
It's a $40 to $50 game. It is what it is. But I'll get it at 50 because maybe I'll just.
As soon as they said controlling the two characters with the two sticks, I was like, I'm not a big fan of that mechanic usually.
It can work though. Like actually, it'd just be Star Fox Zero again.
For what?
Not controlling. You control Cereza and Cheshire with each stick. So.
You
can switch back and forth, but when they're both active, you move one with the left stick, but the other with the right stick.
Oh, okay, gotcha. And
I'm like, you're never going to be moving them at the same time, so I don't know. But you don't have to turn the camera, so I guess it makes sense. Just never been a huge fan of that gameplay.
Wait,
style.
what is Sandstorm talking about? Did we miss that?
Oh, I said where Link was at to work with somebody. I said Demise, but because he thinks Zelda is talking to Ganon, lend him your power. I'm like, no, she wasn't. She's talking to the hand holding down Ganon.
Yeah, whoever that being is. That's what she's talking to.
We get more lore. Everybody lose their fucking minds.
Yeah, it's cool. They're adding a new, I guess, protagonist.
The question is like,
see, I'm not excited for that 10 minutes now, but trust me, at 9:55 tomorrow morning, I'm about.
It's one of those things. It's one of those things where it's not long running hype. It's when the moment hits you and you're like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
it's time. Sitting on the toilet.
I'm trying to think of the games I've double dipped on. I know it's always more than I first think, because.
Well, what about Switch or Wii U to Switch?
Like I bought
Mario Kart,
Shadow of the Colossus twice. Technically, I bought the last.
Yeah, but that was. We're talking.
It's double dip, but it's on two.
Very different.
I've never double dipped on the same platform.
Yeah. Really?
I've never bought a special and then a regular or a digital and a physical. Of just like the next time I bought Resident Evil 4 on GameCube. Now I just bought Resident Evil 4 on PS5. Like that's the only time I quote unquote double dip.
You didn't get the Sonic Collection digitally?
Oh, shut up! Shut the hell up!
Like I bought.
Shut the hell up! The minute you even brought that shit up, made me mad.
How many damn Sonic collections is Sega gonna release?
Oh, it's ridiculous.
It's a lie.
Man.
It's a lie.
It's ridiculous.
I've learned to pick and choose my battles. That's all I'm gonna say on that. Sometimes I've lost though. I'll just say that it's a hard road being a Sonic fan.
Because I have.
And then they introduce that fucking Origins plush bullshit. I'm like, fuck, man.
They did the same thing with the what's it called? Sonic Mania. Yeah.
How have they not had Sonic Mania 2 out? Why don't they have Sonic Mania 2?
Because they put a statue out with a big ass Sonic and still gave you a digital copy.
They did do that, and I was like, "Fuck!" And I still have that damn statue. I was like,
mine's sitting right over there.
I'm getting that fucking statue, but they were like, "Hey, man!" And the only reason why I'm even fucking like, "Oh, you can play as Amy," I'm like, "God, fuck! I don't even need it. God, fucking
you don't need
damn
that
it.
shit.
I know I don't need it, but God,
but you want it. You definitely
watch me hovered over that fucking pre-order button like a bitch. I couldn't even say nothing. I was like, yeah, this is gonna be my ass, bro. I'm
glad I waited. I ain't doing that shit.
I didn't. Well, Origins wasn't even a good game when it first came out. It was a bad port, and it didn't do what it was supposed to. So now it seems to be the port it was supposed to be with extra shit. So I can justify it by saying I technically haven't bought this version of Origins. So
remember when Sonic Colors Remastered was announced, and people were like, "Oh yeah, Sonic Colors, that game was great," and then it come out.
It's trash.
All right, first off, that was a poor port. I
It
don't
was a
want
bad
to.
port. The game itself is
The
is
game
really
was
good.
bad. Okay, the original game is good.
What
It's
was
just-
the issue
it's
with the port?
fucking glitches out the ass,
Glitches,
dog.
yeah.
Visual glitches, motherfuckers
Stuttering.
clipping through floors. You had
Clipping.
rainbows on the screen. It had nothing to do with the game.
I still feel like there was a percentage of that was a great 3D Sonic game for the Wii, and then now it didn't hold up as much as it did in people's memories.
Nah, you gonna hate.
That's a little.
You
I
just
feel
hate.
like
I'll
there
say-
was some of that.
No. Listen, Juice.
Because for the Wii, it was impressive
No, listen.
Oh, man,
no,
no.
we're not doing this. All right, listen.
to have that, because the
only
first
thing-
game was what, the one where you're running at the camera on rails, and then here's
Listen,
this like, oh wow, this is a
Juice. I'll give you this much. The only realization a lot of people came to was, damn, this game is like 85% 2D. Like, what the fuck? Like, that was like the main conclusion people came to. It was like, yeah, this really is not as much of a 3D title as we remember. It's very much like a 2D game with 3D sections in it. But the game in itself was still pretty good. Although that was during like the end of Sonic's like really rough period. And I know Juice could have his own little joke for that one, but yeah.
just,
Sonic had a really Sonic's rough period was really bad during that era.
It started with Shadow.
Shadow, and then you had 06, and then they couldn't even get the port
What about
of one
Sonic
right
and
on
the Secret Rings? That was garbage.
that's the one I just talked about. Yeah.
Not listen.
You couldn't even stop and go back, wasn't it? Like on rails.
Listen.
See, that's
I recognize it, but I feel like people acting like it was dog shit. It was
a little too hard.
It may be
a little too hard.
It may be
to be fair, Black Knight is the better game. I'm not gonna act like Black Knight wasn't
Black Knight
the better
is
title.
the better game.
and maybe it didn't. Maybe people didn't have that impact or have that feelings like I mentioned about. Hey, it was only good for Wii, but it definitely was better.
What does that mean? Trying to say the Wii's dog shit or something?
No, I'm saying like because of the game. Because when it came out, it was like, oh my god, this is actually good. I feel like that's true after what you just said. Like, oh, after all the bad ones, then they're like,
Yeah,
dang,
of course.
this one's good.
There's some of that.
I feel like that
definitely.
No, that's right. I
was
will
talked
agree,
about.
that's right.
I feel this is just an outsider's thoughts. I just feel like it was talked about and praised, and it was getting some of that praise because of the previous games weren't good. So it was like, wow, this is actually good.
Generations got that too.
The 4 hour
Generations.
Generations.
Generations is good. It ain't great.
No, wait, listen.
Generations is a demo, in my opinion.
What?
It's
How
a-
dare
it's a
you?
good
That's a little.
game.
That's
It
really
ain't- It
disrespectful.
ain't as great as like everybody. Oh my god, Generation! No,
I couldn't
no,
believe it was
ain't
done
all
after like
that.
4 hours.
It's a really. But see, I'm fine with that because considering they keep doing this shit where they keep trying to add in extra gimmicks because they made the games too short, I'm fine with that. If you want to do a fucking 4 hour title, do a 4 hour title.
I was
just make it
literally
consistently
stunned.
good.
I thought like, oh, this is like the first
I imagine Juice,
area, and then
Juice
I'm
was-
like, wait, it's
Juice
over.
was
There's
just-
just some bonus
Juice was just
levels.
sitting there with the control in his hand.
Glad
he
I
was
didn't buy it. I
What
got
the
it. For,
fuck?
got it with the graphics card purchase.
Oh shit!
Sega.
But he never.
I don't know
he was
why
never a
that came
Sega
with a
fan
graphics card
anyway.
purchase.
So he's
I don't even know
never-
why
Yeah.
that came with a graphics card purchase. That's just a
I was
weird-
more of a Sega hater than a Sega fan.
He's a Sega hater. Yeah. He was.
Weren't
that-
you
he was that
excited for the
kid.
Dreamcast? What the fuck?
I was. I loved it, but the best game was Namco. One of the best games was Namco and Capcom. The hell is my cat? My cat's just randomly popping up.
Yeah. But Dreamcast gets a lot of love. It was great. It was a great arcade machine. But that's almost pretty much it. I mean, it had some great
Damn.
fighter. It had some great fighter. I love the Dreamcast. Love it. But if
It
it's
had
gonna
some
be,
good adventure games and stuff, but it wasn't its bread and butter for sure.
Yeah.
No, of course.
Yeah.
I'll say that. But
For every Shamu, I mean, there's a Sega bass fishing arcade, and
Right.
and
Which was amazing looking, especially on a home console back then. But that's it. It's a fantastic
me and-
arcade home machine.
I brought that one up because that was a game me and my buddy were playing Super Black Bass on the Super Nintendo, and we loved it. And we're like, oh my god, Dreamcast, Sega Bass Fishing.
You got the little controller.
And then all of a
the
sudden
little
it's like,
rod.
it's just an arcade game. We were so bummed. We rented it, and it was like, yep, passing on this
Now,
one.
If they had more Shenmue out there, then they'd had something. But by the time Shenmue came out,
Yeah, you had
The
your
writing
Code
was kind of on
Veronica,
the
you had
wall.
your MDK2,
Yeah,
you
but
had
I was specifically talking about stuff that actually Sega themselves made. Like because
Hey.
Code Veronica obviously that's Capcom. Yeah, if it was for Capcom, Dreamcast would be trash. It wouldn't be half as well remembered as it is. But they had amazing sports titles. NBA 2K and NFL 2K were amazing at the time. But that's as far as like, oh, that big adventure game on the Dreamcast. PC games that were on Dreamcast because the 98 Windows 98 CE.
Unreal Tournament was on there.
Yeah,
Like good
PC game,
shit.
PC games. But as
Metropolis Street
far as
Racer.
games that the Dreamcast cultivated itself and having a big great adventure game or amazing platform, no, it didn't really have that.
Sonic
Crazy
Adventure
RPG.
2.
I think the GameCube version's better. But that's a personal thing.
Oh, it is.
I wonder if the Dreamcast would have had a couple more years, if that would have changed, or if it would have.
It needed a couple more developers. That's what the Dreamcast needed.
I think Sega. It took Sega too long to get to where it needed to be. That was my problem.
And I remember, God, Crazy Taxi was reviewed so well.
But it came out in 90. If it came out in 98, like it came out in Japan in 98. If it came out in 98 and it had a couple years on PlayStation instead of one.
Because it was 2 years. It was one on the GameCube, is 2 for the PS2, because the PS2 came out a year. Or it was the other way around? Other way around.
PS2 came out in 2000.
Yeah, it was PS2 and then another year for the GameCube.
Yeah. It came in the Dreamcast got its start really in 99. 999 or 99 999. And yeah. It only had a year basically as far as, battling the biggest market.
And it did have some like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, that was the definitive version. I doubt it.
Yeah, it had that. It had the better ports.
San Francisco Rush 2049.
By the time they came out there, people had already played them on PlayStation 1 and even N64. So it was.
What Rush? What was that futuristic?
It was in a weird spot. They came out in 98.
Oh, Jet Set Radio?
No, it was a Rush, San Francisco Rush.
Jet Set Radio was amazing.
There's a San Francisco, like, futuristic San Francisco Rush.
Yeah, 2049 was amazing.
And
it was on N64. It was on consoles that already had huge install bases.
And I played that stunt mode a lot. There's some cool games on there.
I played the hell out of 2049 on Dreamcast. I love that.
I had Rush and Rush 2 on the N64. It was, even with the fog of in the first game.
Even with that fog.
It was still cool. But and there's nothing wrong, but that was the era when, for me personally, I was starting to appreciate games that had a little more depth and a little more I could sink more time into.
Right.
And I started getting, like, I bought Crazy Taxi after all this hype. IGN reviewed it really well, and the other review was the magazines. I'm like, oh my god. Literally 45 minutes after I played it, I'm like, this is the game? Like, this is the entire game? And I barely played it again. I probably had 2 hours in that
I
game.
do not have the reverence for Crazy Taxi everybody else seems to have.
It just never clicked with me. I just like, this is it? Like, literally,
it clicked with me, but just like you said, I probably played that game an hour in my entire life. Like, literally. Like, it got old quick. Even Dynamite Deca, which is Dynamite Cop. That was one of the launch titles I bought. You can literally beat that game in 30 minutes. That game is done in 30 minutes. And then what? It's great in the arcade when you're putting quarters in it and it's super hard. But at home,
it had some good didn't have some good like shooter style games, like shoot 'em ups.
Didn't it have?
Or was that the Saturn?
Yeah. No, Saturn had way more. It was only in Japan though.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them were only you had to import them. But it had was it Ikaruga on Ikaruga was on Dreamcast, and there's another big one I can't remember right now. But it had some good shooters. It had some good shmups, yeah.
I mean,
but adventure games just weren't there. And that's a big thing to keep people.
It had the NFL and NBA 2K series, which was like a huge deal for some sports fans. I bought NBA 2. It's the only NBA game I ever bought in my life. I bought NBA 2K, and dude I was hanging out with that.
I said that earlier.
He He came over. We just played that. That's the only reason I bought it, because he was big into basketball games and he talked me into
so
it.
slick with it. I said it already.
And play an online play. That was huge for me. Like that was the first console I played online was Dreamcast, and it was playing NBA 2K, NFL 2K,
I remember, actually not.
and Unreal.
I just thought of something else. I seen somebody, a Madden fan, trying to say, "Oh, y'all praising NBA or NFL 2K5, but you know, it had these issues, and these issues," and people are like, yeah, and Madden still has those same issues. Like he's like Madden destroys 2K5.
Yeah.
It's like Madden 2005 didn't.
EA didn't think so.
If it's gonna
That's why
take,
they went and locked that license up.
it's gonna take 17 years or 18 years for them to match. Yeah, it's probably going back to it. It's probably not as good as I remember, but
2K was amazing.
2K1 was my favorite, to be honest.
Yeah,
But
NFL 2K1, 2K2. Was it your 2K?
I didn't get 2 or 3, but I got actually 3 on the GameCube and then 5 on the Xbox.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I hadn't moved back to Madden by the time I got the GameCube.
that was
Madden 02 and 03 were really good.
for me. The Dreamcast was mostly third party games for me.
Yeah.
That I enjoyed, but
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Sega themselves, they finally put Sonic out there because they didn't do it on Saturn.
Yeah.
So that was great, you know.
I do agree with Clocked sentiment, though. In 2 years, that had quite the library of unique, exclusive games, and PS2 or PS5 and Series X after 2 years, and you don't have shit compared to.
Oh yeah, like Dreamcast. That's one thing you cannot see, man. Like, like they would never make that today.
Shenmue,
that was
Seaman.
Every time I hear Seaman, I can't. I just can't.
I had it. Trust me.
We made the jokes back then. Don't worry about it. We made those same jokes.
I was trying to play that.
It's one of those games where you try to be an adult about it. Nah,
it's just not gonna happen.
I was trying to play the game late at night.
He looks like a little seed.
Yeah. And you had to like talk to him. You talked to him in that microphone. I was trying to whisper because it was late at night. I was at my parents' house where I was working second shift.
Leonard Nimoy.
And I was trying to like whisper the commands, and it just wouldn't hear me. And I was like, parents think I'm gonna talk to myself if they hear me talking.
Yeah. But you got like Samba de Amigo, which is coming back, by the way. Samba de Amigo.
I'm actually pleasantly surprised by that.
Space Channel
5.
Like,
isn't that the VR? Don't they have a VR one of that? That one? Yeah.
Amazing game that came out. Amazing.
Even with the lack of buttons on the controller. Yeah. The controller was a little lacking in my opinion.
That was a fail. That was a fail at that point. Like, come on.
Even the location of the cord at the bottom, so it had to like curl it around.
What's that game we both
that was a
talk
weird
about?
Choice.
Having to play using the face buttons to go up, down, left.
MDK2 is how
MDK2. That was rough. A great game, but it was hard to control.
Yeah, use the ABXY to strafe, and then the left stick to turn and move forward or whatever. It was crazy.
That was tough.
And then all you had was left was the 2 triggers and the D-pad for everything else. And but I still enjoyed the game.
Yeah, it's a great game.
It was a really cool,
really fun. Those controls.
But enough Dreamcast positive and negative talk.
We get on here, we always shoot something down.
Yeah. We didn't really shit on the GameCube much. We brought it up, but we didn't really say much about it.
It's a lifestyle.
What else is there to say about it?
It exists.
I would say the GameCube, the visual design of the GameCube was not in line with its power level.
Oh my God.
No.
Just touching back to the Metroid Prime's Space Pirate.
You got to remember the era. Like, that might fly today, or that might have flew 5 years before then. But that era was all about machismo. Oh, I can't look at that little purple lunchbox. So you didn't even realize how powerful that thing was. Rogue Squadron is still one of the most visually stunning games. Like 60 frames and just gorgeous.
I'm putting earbuds in my cat's ear for your dog barking.
Oh, my dog.
She's
not
like,
my dog. But yeah, like that game's still like there's nothing on PlayStation 2 and barely on Xbox that looked that good. Nothing.
Yeah, it was literally like power wise, it was up there, but visually wise, you would think it was the weakest, just based on its visual design.
You just look at,
That's
I'm supposed to play on that, and back then it was all about your entertainment center, and that purple lunchbox did not look good sitting in your entertainment center. You had to be black and sleek, and everything looked like a VCR. So it's just,
put a handle on it.
You had to be there, and the handle.
You had the
Hey,
smiley
so
face.
It's so weird considering they didn't make that bitch portable. So I'm like, why is it like this,
Yeah,
bro?
it should have just had a screen on the fucking hood or the lid. At that point, so.
It's so fucking.
And
weird.
I mean, it did have a.
I still like
it
that.
had a
I
nice
still have a lot of emotional attachment to it,
ergonomics.
though,
The
personally.
ergonomics were really nice.
I have zero problem with it. I'm just saying the era in which it came out.
the era
If
was
you
a
looked at it,
time.
you're not like, oh, this is a visual powerhouse system.
Right.
You
And
just did.
it was made to look like those little workstations. What they called?
Cubicle.
That was kind of the design. It was
You
called
look
something.
like a cubicle. Is that what
It was
you
some
said?
kind of workstation. No. There's a computer that looked just like it,
yeah.
similar to it. It was meant to look like that, but then they made that bitch purple.
What do you think people are gonna say about like the PS5 in like 25 years?
Oof.
Looks like a fan.
I like it, but I don't
It's too
love
big.
it.
I
It
like
is-
the design of it, but it's too big with that design.
It is too
It's
big.
like, it's like a vent. That's all
It looks like. It looks like. a
Have you
woman's
seen the
area.
ones where all they do is
It looks like you hook it up to the back of your fan for the blowout air and shit.
all they do is take the put the new plates on, and it doesn't have the extra, as you can, like the ears. It's just sticks to the. It looks way sleeker with it's just like a half-inch less lip on it. It just sticks tight to the shape, and it looks completely different. But they're gonna have a slim model.
The changing of the plates and stuff that you can do.
Do you think
that's
we'll get
cool.
the slim model?
I
this
think there'll be
year?
a slim model maybe this year. Speaking of, they did a they did a price
Play Rattle
drop.
5.
They had the God of War
Yeah, the
bundle
God
for
of War bundle,
508.
yeah.
Like I was like,
Yeah, I saw that.
it's a weird number,
Didn't-
but it's like crazy.
Didn't Robert post that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually saw it out in retail.
Yeah, they've had them at Best Buy the last few times I went there.
Yeah.
They don't have hardly any physical games though on any system there anymore. Like it's dying just
Is
like
that-
Blu-rays.
People are
Is that-
saying that, but I see
Walmart
full
has
game
a lot,
cases.
but
Yeah, Walmart. Yeah.
Target last time I went there had a decent amount, but Best Buy's
Okay.
is just like
I can't remember the last time I've been to Best
they
Buy.
could put
one
all
time.
3 systems on one shelf now with the games that they have. It's like Amazon
Yes.
just like dominates that kind of stuff with.
That's pretty sad.
I think it's
The
just
Walmart I go
viable.
to, they have multiple copies of because people are still saying they can't find Prime Remastered. The Walmart I go to had a whole stack, a whole thing's filled.
I can't even think of the last time I've been in a Best Buy to look.
I went to Walmart before Black Friday and they had a whole case of PS4 games, like $10. And I saw Dark Souls, I saw Bloodborne. I was like, oh, I'm gonna come back. Like 3 days later, I came back. It was empty. They completely emptied it for Black Friday, and they were gone. I was so mad. They had like Dark Souls 3 for like I don't know if it's $10-15.
Damn.
And I was like, I should have just bought it. I was buying something else. Like I'm not gonna. I need to spend this
Wait,
money
what?
right now.
What's
Walmart right before Black Friday, I was in there. This last Black Friday, and they had a whole case full of PS4. It was in the lock case of
PS4.
old PS4, and I'm looking. I'm like, I want that game. I want a physical copy of Bloodborne. And they had Dark Souls 3, and I was like, damn, I'm gonna come back. And it was like 3 days later, and they were gone. They must have emptied that, put it in a bin out somewhere, and they were gone.
Gone. Yeah, you can't sleep on that stuff when you see it. You got to get it. Right.
And I
then
didn't
and
want to
there.
try to find somebody to open it and then sit there and try to figure out which games I wanted. So I was like, I'll just come back. 'Cause
Yeah.
I was there just to pick something specific. But anyway, I think that's it. No debates about stupid stuff. I was thinking we should just do the podcast whenever Retro Death can be on, and we'll just do it like once every 3 weeks or something,
silly
so we can
debates.
have the crazy discussions.
Y'all just like the instigation that came.
Left
and,
field.
and
out
who
of
knows?
left
Maybe
field
Robert someday will be on again. Who knows? Clocked it missed his.
Okay.
Clocked it missed his the hour earlier. I think they're on our time now. They did their
Oh, are they?
daylight or their whatever it's called this time of year.
He missed his window.
Because daylight savings in the fall, I don't know what they call it. Spring ahead. But
That's funny. Spring, I never thought of that.
Anyway,
That's pretty good. You
that's
should be a
it.
comedian.
That's all we got. Random discussions. Covered a lot of different things.
Yes.
Tears for the Wii U eShop and 3DS. Tears.
It's out.
Nintendo fans don't care though.
I don't care, to be honest.
They didn't complain at all. They didn't say a word. So
R.I.P. bro.
I think didn't they extend? Didn't they change the initial date or not?
no, you're talking about PlayStation.
No, PlayStation did that.
I
'Cause
honestly,
their fans cared enough to say something.
I just don't. I just didn't
changed that
care
shit.
as much as I love the Wii U. I didn't even turn it on to make sure like my system works after that.
All these motherfuckers, all these people, all these Wii U haters running around. Oh, the best games to get on the Wii U. Shut the fuck up. You do like you're only doing that for the algorithm. You don't give a shit at all. All you did was hate on the Wii U. All of a sudden, oh, here's the top 20 games to get on the
But
Wii U.
there's money to be made.
We're
T,
close.
come on,
Yeah,
bro.
but that's why I'll never be a big channel.
I wonder if
can't do
people-
that fraudulent bullshit.
I wonder if people have come around in
You
3D
also
world.
you just don't have no patience for it.
I had no.
Dude, I was
Nowadays, shut the fuck up.
a little self promotion. If you check out my my home theater videos I uploaded, I was planning on doing a bunch of content back early last year. I started doing some home theater content, and I got in the algorithm. I would get like some videos I was like 200 views a day,
Yeah.
and now I'm out of the algorithm.
Right. Yeah.
And I was looking at what you got to do, and I'm just like, I can't do that. Like,
This is some bullshit.
You gotta sit there and watch your analytics and.
well, the thing you got to
I
do,
don't care about that
the
shit.
thing you got to do to keep up,
You have to become invested.
you have to
Yeah.
either have the ability to like shoot footage and show off other people's rooms and do like edited room tours,
Yeah.
or you have to start reviewing products.
I was gonna say for you specifically, yeah. I mean, how are you gonna be able to?
And I'm like,
You consistently make a theater room video like that.
I have
gotta be doing other
ideas,
things.
T. I just don't have the lighting and equipment like
No.
to do it. Like I had an idea, like just a simple.
Well, that's not. I mean, come on.
That's
all
just
that
a
money,
time
all
and
that money you're
thing.
spending on.
I know, but it's
equipment
just
or on stuff for your theater room. You get a couple $100 to get you a nice lighting setup and all that. All
Yeah.
the stuff you need.
But like I wanted to do like different switch up camera angles instead of just having the same camera. I have multiple camera angles, so I'd be setting up, talk like say something, and then like move the camera so it's a little more dynamic. And I was like, I just
too
don't
much
want to.
work.
I just don't want to do that.
that's
You
work.
know?
You gotta set up cameras and reset them up and run multiple cameras.
I'd
and
love,
you gotta
like-
edit multiple angles. That's editing multiple angles. That's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Now that my room's in a spot where I consider it pretty much done, I would love to like either hire a professional or get somebody who's really good to like just film it, just be kind of for my own, kind of like a mini docu just of my journey, you know, me telling my story and then actually having quality footage of the room and stuff like that, like just for my channel and just for me, personally.
A nice camera.
Yeah, and just have a very professional looking video about it. You know, it's kind of like in my mind, I'd love to do that. But anyway, we better get out of here.
Neon lights and all that stuff too, because that's what everybody does.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I don't like the RGB my whole room, and that's what
Right.
star ceilings. There's people who spend thousands of dollars to have a damn blinking starlight ceiling in a theater room. Like, what does that have to do with watching movies? I don't understand the connection.
You turn all the lights off and watch the movie, so you don't need all that shit.
Yeah. So anyway, we're in the podcast, and we'll see you guys next week. We'll talk about the Tears of the Kingdom 10 minutes of footage. I'm sure we'll have a whole podcast and And maybe we'll get Robert on, and we can do a Wii U. Have him sing the Wii U song. But we'll see you guys.
Later.
Peace.
Wii U, Wii U.
Wii.
I don't remember how it went.